The thing.
We're live!
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good, bad. I'm the guy with the mic.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Welcome to the padded cell, you crazy motherfuckers.
Yay.
Yay! Good
Huzzah.
morning, everybody.
You could tell this is one of our favorite shows to do because, it lets us relax, have a good time, and do whatever we feel like doing, which is it's brilliant to do once in a while.
And I just need to brag. I got to show the whole shirt. Down here, this is my brother-in-law, and this is his friend Dusty. And my sister made these shirts for the entire family to wear at their shuffleboard tournament this weekend. So we spent 3 days sitting in really hard chairs watching them play shuffleboard, but they won. So yay!
Every day I'm shuffling.
Yeah,
It's awesome. Congrats.
They had some really good shots, and they have the two of them go by Kenny Laggins, and they have sold more on TeePublic than I have. I helped design some of the shirts, but Tom does some of them himself. And like we're walking around the bar, and there's all these people wearing Kenny Laggins shuffleboard shirts. It's really weird.
Highway into the shuffle zone.
Dude, the way they can get them so that they're like, okay, here's the end of the board, and here's like a little puck, and they'll get it, and they'll zoom, and they'll go around at the end. They move it's just insane.
No, this is like the tabletop shuffleboard thing, right?
Yeah.
Like not the floor.
Yeah, they put like the wax powder on, and you just slide them down. But like the shuffleboard, apparently they aren't exactly level.
Right.
So part of it, you if you get just the right amount of stuff on it and their spin, and they have all the they don't just use pucks laying around. They've ordered their special weighted ones, and they look pretty. But I saw my brother-in-law pull off some really cool shots, and a lot of the guys did some really good stuff, and some of the girls too. I bet a lot of the teams were doing really good, but it was just wow. They got at one point they actually had to get the judge, and this was the first time he had to do this in years. He had to go break out the square level and measure, and my brother-in-law was ahead and got the points by he guesstimated it was about a 32nd of an inch.
Holy shit. That's a photo finish.
Wow. Yeah. Oh yeah, there are people there's this gal taking pictures. I'll put some up. But
that's cool, man.
Everybody was just like, oh my god.
That's exciting. That's super cool, man. You don't hear a lot about that.
Yeah, so that's what I did all weekend.
Tell him we say congratulations on being awesome.
I will.
Yeah.
Everybody kept laughing at our shirts because our whole family was wearing he wasn't wearing a shirt of himself, although that would have been hysterical too.
That would have been hilarious.
But we were everybody was wearing a shirt over it or their jacket pulled, and we're like, guys, come here, and it's like, flash.
Don't be that guy. Don't wear the shirt of the band you're going to see.
We're gonna wear these everywhere. I've worn it for 3 days in a row, so it was like coming on the show because it's like Gotta say hi.
Nice. I had an eventful yesterday. My buddy Lucky, just the night before, was like, "Hey, man, I need somebody to drive down with me to Lexington to a convention, because I need help passing stuff out." And I said, "Okay, when are you gonna be here?" 7 hours from now. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, fuck it. So he picks me up ungodly early, and I hop in his car. We make the 2 hour or so drive down. We get there. It takes forever, like 30, 40 minutes to just get around one side of the convention center from the outside to the other just to find parking. It was nuts down there. So we get in, we start hitting booths. We meet some cool people. I got a chance to shake Hacksaw Jim Duggan's hand and talk to him for actually a little while. We may get him in the future, possibly. Talked to Sergeant Slaughter for a little while. A couple wrestlers. Julie Brown was there. Absolutely love her as an actor. She's done Earth Girls Are Easy, a lot of trauma stuff, just so many things from back in the day. And I got to actually talk to her for a little while too. She was super, super cool. Just a couple different people like that. The downside is though, when they set this place up, the aisles were the smallest aisles I've ever seen for a major convention. This was a major convention. They were so big that if there were two of me side by side, we wouldn't be able to go up and down the aisles. For a major convention, it was that bad. So a lot of vendors outside, having a cigarette, were upset that they couldn't. It was hard for them to sell things because if people stopped to, look at their booths, they were getting elbowed, shoulder, run into. I got slammed into the spine 8 times, hit in the back of the head twice, and my bad foot got stomped on 3 times by just trying to very slowly, keeping to myself like this, walking down an aisle. The last one, she hit me so hard from behind. She was not much shorter than me, and every bit as broad as I am. And she was just running, hit me so hard, it knocked me into a table. And had I have not caught myself, I would have WWE style went through that table. This was a flimsy ass table. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
The card was cool. The people were great. The guests were cool. But the setup was the biggest nightmare I've ever experienced in my life as far as being able to survive and come out in one piece. That was tough.
Which con was this? Hi, Tom.
That was the Lexington Comic Con.
Okay.
Yep. Again, great con. It was a great setup. Everybody that ran it was super nice and cool. Just if you're going to throw a big con, any con, remember wide aisles, people. Some of us are bigger people, and it's really hard. There was actually a count outside, a group of about a dozen guys standing out there going, "How many times did you get hit today?" And we were all telling horror stories of the collisions.
This isn't the first time they've put that con on. I'm surprised that the aisles were so narrow. You think that they would have known that from past conventions?
Well, I mean, apparently they've never been narrow like this before, ever, because Lucky went last year, and I know a lot of other people that go to this one regularly. They've all said that they were surprised to see how narrow, because it's never been like that before. They have no idea what happened.
I was totally kneecapping people through Terrificon when Drew was dragging me along. My purse was because this is my purse. It is huge. And it weighs, 15 pounds. And so, I'm just beating the shit out of people as I'm getting dragged along. I do want to... Cody just put up the pictures. That was the shot where they had
Wow.
Yeah.
The one on the right looks like it's about to fall.
It was actually the one on the left that was further forward. It's just because it has a dark... It's black around the middle, and the other one's silver. But, yeah,
that's crazy.
That was the fun one.
Yeah, I went to the Arnold one year here in Columbus. My one and only time at the Arnold. I mean, I'd like to go back and check out the trade show floor, but with the one experience that I had, I just don't know if I would, because the Columbus Convention Center downtown is huge.
Oh yeah,
and the aisles are plenty wide. I mean, they're wide enough, but it was shoulder to shoulder people. It was so full that you literally could not move unless the crowd was actually moving, and then you just kind of had to go with it because you had no choice. Otherwise, you get knocked over and get trampled of people moving in that direction. So it made it impossible to really stop at the booths and talk to people and whatnot, because you had to go with the flow or you didn't go at all.
Yeah.
and I don't want to put myself back into that kind of crowd. I know that there's a lot of other events that go on at the Arnold, and they might not be as congested as the trade show floor was. But a lot of people go, for the trade show floor.
At convention centers, there's a lot of rooms. There's a lot of rooms actually at convention centers, and a smart con knows to utilize those spaces so you have the flow. Even if you have some slightly smaller aisles, there's escape points. There's ways to enjoy things and that's where Horror Hound comes into play. I've been going to Horror Hound. I started going with Horror Hound #1. I started going Horror Hound weekend. That's what we're here to promote right now. I started going from the beginning and went every year up until about a year before COVID, 2 years before COVID, something like that. And I just took a break from all cons, and now I'm coming back to it, at the end of this month. But every one of those I ever went to, dude, the aisles were wide enough that you could drive a small car down them and still have a little bit of clearance room on each side. Huge aisles. You can go easily stand out, hang out in front of booths and meet people and talk to them and get your autographs. And you've got all the side rooms that they utilize. They've got the tattoo convention side of things. So, they have a lot of tattooers, come out and have their booths. They've got a whole giant room in the convention center to themselves completely. They've got extra rooms just for guests, to have, space for them so they don't feel like people are coming down on top of them. They've got different spaces entirely for the photo ops. They just spread everything out so well that you can see things. It's easy to know where you've been. You don't get confused at all because you've got a map and everything. So where everything is, where everyone's going to be. You can get up and down the aisles easily, but there's also escape routes. Say you're having a panic attack. Super fucking easy. Anywhere inside of a Horror Hound, anywhere you are, to pop out and get outside the door and get some fresh air, immediate. And that's always literally been from a guest perspective, even from a vendor or whatever perspective, or from a patron's perspective. That's always been one of my favorite things is knowing the layout, having an easy layout where you can experience everything without feeling too overwhelmed. But if you do, immediate safety. Or immediate cigarette in my point of view.
I've been to Midwest Haunters Convention that was here in Columbus from 2003 to roughly 2016, I think. And, it's a convention that's geared toward haunters, people in the haunt industry. But, of course, haunting goes kind of hand in hand with Halloween and horror.
It does.
So a lot of people that will go to Midwest Haunters Convention are also the same kind of target audience that are going to go to Horror Hound as well.
Oh, definitely.
And just like with Horror Hound, Midwest Haunters Convention is also one of the cosplay conventions. People come dressed in their haunt character costumes or as horror characters. Whereas with Horror Hound, they cater to a lot more than just the haunt industry because it's everything horror. You got comic books, you got music, you got movies and all kinds of things, podcasts, whatnot, and all of these people will show up, and the cosplayers are just way more than just haunters in their costumes. They'll be cosplaying all kinds of things that are more horror related, and sometimes even their own take on things as well. Pinhead, but instead of the nails or whatever, you got syringes sticking out of the head or something.
Lots of cool ones, man.
Yeah, lots of cool ones. And so I haven't been to a Horror Hound yet, but I can imagine that just like with Midwest Haunters Convention, that kind of vibe, that it would be that kind of vibe exponentially greater. I imagine it would just be this is the coolest thing ever.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, and Horror Hound, they've also got lots of cool shit. One of their big things is the Horrors of Cosplay costume contest, and some of the most amazing shit I've ever seen. There's actually a really popular picture of me on Facebook with me next to a Pennywise cosplayer. I'll see if I can find it and toss it up here in a little bit. That was actually at a Horror Hound. That's it. And the costume's fucking brilliant. People spend a lot of time on this. On top of that, you mentioned haunters and horror. Just about every haunted attraction within an hour radius or more from Cincy comes out and represents.
Yeah, they're all going to be there repping their haunted house, getting people to come out. So,
well, their big Saturday night event they got going on specifically which is the Night Terrors After Hours concert and party. There's some great
Mhm.
bands playing, but Dent Schoolhouse is actually providing some props and helping out like with the decorations for that. And
Nice.
actually, one moment here. Steven says the convention center is also supposed to finish their expansion for this year as well. Now, Steven, you guys will know from Mats and Monsters. He puts up with mine and Matt shit. Also, works for me over at Hell's Dungeon and the Elevator. He's going to be there too, and some costumes that weekend, also helping us promote. So we're sending people down there. Haunts from everywhere are going to be there, and one of the biggest clowns. Go ahead.
I will be at the booth in my cosplay costume of the Invisible Woman, naked.
So yeah, right next to John Cena.
Oh, and I missed it.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't matter because I can't see you anyway.
Right, exactly. and I know somebody that I love to death, man. He's one of the most well-known clowns, and not just Ohio, but pretty much the country. That's going to be Giggles, a.k.a. Brian Gantz. Most of my relationship with Brian and the times we've spent together have been at Horror Hounds over the years. I'm sure I'm going to get to see him again there. We always sucker him into coming guest acting at the Haunt a couple times a year. But I'm pretty sure I'll get
if you haven't seen Brian Gantz as his Giggles character, he is a stilt walker and primarily known for his very white suit.
Yes. I once saw this man at one of his previous haunts, the Wilmington Haunted Hollow. A big chunk of it it's a hayride, but it's a bus where the whole top of the bus is cut off. And like semis run out of the woods and bump into you. Like, it's crazy. I once saw him run through the woods at the bus ride that I was on and
his stilts.
On stilts, jump into the air and fly through the air and grab the bus and climb up onto it and then flip off when he was done. All on stilts.
Would not surprise me. He spends so much time on those stilts. It's got to become, second nature to him now.
And he can lean. The way he leans makes you feel like if you're in an inside haunt, he did this at the dungeon once. He leaned in such an intense way that when Fred came around the corner and got scared by him, he thought it was the wall that was leaning at that angle and not Brian. Like, he defies gravity in so many different, just insane ass ways on these stilts, man. Like, I've never once in my life have ever seen anyone do on stilts what he does. And he's got a bunch of different characters he does.
Yeah, it's funny to see him too when he squats down to take a break, just to take the pressure off of his legs, and he looks like he's top heavy, like he's about to fall over at any moment, and he just somehow he's still, he's perfectly balanced. He squats down, and I'm like, how do you do that?
He does
because I've tried stilts. I did jumping stilts at Backwoods Oddities for 1 year. I was on, and I'd never used stilts before in my life, and I put these on. I had like 20 minutes to practice, and then I was on them for 5 hours a night every night for the rest of haunt season. And man, you want to talk about a killer freaking workout. Something like that would get you in shape. So I can't imagine how Gantz does it, being on him all the time.
And when he's not doing Giggles, he volunteers for like a Christmas village, and he does this really cool non-horror version of a toy soldier. Like, it is like the Nutcracker toy soldier. It is brilliant. I've seen a horror version of that. He's got this one thing called the Puppet Master, where he goes around wears this really creepy outfit on the stilts, and he puts his hands up, and he usually has an assistant or two travel with him to look like they're on strings, and he
Marilyn Gilliam is one of the ladies that helps the Puppet Master. I think Katie Lane, a couple of Cleveland haunters as well.
He's won major awards. He's even won awards at Horror Hound for doing that particular character before. So you see a lot of local things to Ohio, not just all the stars you're coming for, all the businesses that travel to the cons, and most of us don't even have booths. We just wander around and meet each other and hang out and do photo ops, and sometimes people want things signed and we sign them. We just show up because that's Ohio, man. That's the horror industry in Ohio. We're everywhere we can be whenever we can be, and I'm glad to be finally getting back to that. And it's Matt's first convention ever. Not just horror, but ever of anything. And he has no idea what to expect. So we've been trying to pump him up, and he's going to be helping me with the review, with the interviews and running camera also. So
that's going to be a bit of a wake up call if you've never been to any kind of convention ever, especially a horror one, because that's going to be like, sense overload, just like sensory, is because it's going to be everything. It's going to be sights, sounds, smells, and just all the different. I'm like, wow,
Speaking of smells, I went to my first real con last year, Terrificon, and Matt and anybody who has not gone to a con before, um, there is a smell that comes along with all cons, and you do not want to be contributing to it.
No.
So
Yeah.
make sure
haunt
when
funk
you go.
or con funk.
No, you're good at
Yes.
Horror Hound. You know why? Because you know the convention I always talked about how you would go and you'd see the baskets of like the mini sticks of deodorant for free.
Yes.
That was Horror Hound. I don't know if they still do it now, but that's the con I saw that did that forever.
Yeah. It just make sure bathe before you go. You're gonna sweat. You can't help it. There's a lot of people in there. And if you're wearing costumes and stuff, sometimes it's just gonna get overly hot. But bathe, put on deodorant. I mean, carry around some Febreze or something if you absolutely have to. Don't use Axe body spray, but give yourself a little bit of scent and wash your pits every now and then, because and it's not just, big old fanboys. We had Jar Jar was behind a group of like teenage girls that were all done up in anime and stuff, and he was just about gagging because these gals apparently just had so much of a funk that they were
Oh, yeah.
they were making all women everywhere look bad.
Oh yeah, they have a full-on hygiene booth.
All right, so Del, question. You
Yes.
say don't use Axe body spray, and I have
God,
to
no.
wonder why. What is wrong with Axe that somehow people are totally against it now when, like, back in the day, it was the thing for
It-
everybody to use? What has changed?
It's a
I guess it's
cologne, not a deodorant.
Yeah, I guess it's not so much don't use Axe body spray, don't overuse Axe
Don't
body spray.
bathe in it.
And
It
also
it
don't
seems like
only
it.
use it. Use regular deodorant, and if you want to smell nice, spray a little bit of that on yourself too. That's fine, but that's a
Yeah,
cologne.
like
That doesn't
you
stop
can.
your
I mean, you
grunge.
can wash yourself with the scented stuff and put on the scented
Yeah.
deodorant, but the sprays that come with it, people just act like it's a spritzer or something, and it.
Yeah.
I mean, it does smell better than Confunk, but when you have like 13 different combating scents of Axe body spray, you just get this really weird high going on.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's bad. Especially if
I
you're a vendor and you're at a table in one of the rooms for a long time that doesn't have as good of air circulation at some cons. It's overwhelming. Your eyes will start to burn.
yeah,
So then the follow-up question would be, are there any recommendations you have other than Axe body spray that would be better?
Bod,
um,
Dove,
Clean
There's-
yourself.
lighter
bathe.
scents.
Bathe?
Yeah, later
Yeah,
scents.
lighter scents, or I mean, like if you're gonna like, they have the things that you can spray more than just a little bit on that are like the Bath and Body Works spritzers or something like that.
I have a can of Axe just to spray.
No axe, Steven. No axe.
But some of those they have, like citrus ones or cucumber. I use myrrh oil. I have it in my hair and but it's like just roll on oil, so I don't overpower people, but I don't end up smelling.
Yeah.
So don't
and
use like sinister scents like granny panties or anything like that, and like douse
Yeah.
your costume and like
yeah, just anything that's really strong, don't use in large amounts. I mean,
nothing that smells
know.
like high school lunchroom or high school bathroom.
yeah, just
Lunch lady lamb. Sorry,
easy thing. I mean, you're gonna have some people who are gonna smell like patchouli regardless, and I mean, it actually isn't that bad in that sort of an environment. But if you can do a lighter sort of thing, that's preferable.
Yeah, and if you do
Instead
have
of
to use axe, at least go outside and use it, and then stand out there like for 5 or 10 minutes before you go back. And that way, like you still get the decent smell, but it's not, you've aired out.
you dab.
Yeah.
This is why I use oils, because I can dab. And
Not the
roll.
dance move dab, but the actual measurement of dab, or not dab as you're
Not
smoking.
the
for that
fun
matter.
dab. Yeah, just the oil dab.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Little devil, do
Um,
you?
Jenny grabbed some pictures for me. Thank you, Jenny. I'm gonna. You can put them up if you want to. I will
Okay.
talk about what they are and why.
Because there's like 4 or 5 others I wasn't sure about getting, but these were like the
feel
main
free.
ones.
Yeah, this is the
There you go.
Pennywise
Okay.
one I was talking about. Yeah, back when I had my good contacts. I'll be getting those again soon. I never even found out this person's name because they refused to break character for anyone, and afterwards
That
did
is
not
cool.
come up and tell anyone who they were. Like it was, they had the voice down too, man. It was solid. It was good. They had the balloons. You can't see those as well in this picture. It's
Look
nuts,
at
man.
Raz's eyes though. He's looking all evil and shit.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had those contacts for a super long time. I'm actually about to get finally a pair I can see out this year. Okay, so this is a special convention. Look at my Soundgarden shirt. I missed that shirt. This is Kane Hodder, if you don't know, from years ago. This was the day that I became Raz T Slasher. I was no longer just Raz. Kane said, "You're not fucking Madonna, dude. You need a full name, not just Raz." And we sat down, had some drinks, smoked. We talked for a while, and he helped me actually come up with a full name. And this is the picture I've always kept around to commemorate that day. And that's back when he was still allowed to choke at conventions for pictures. Technically, he wasn't allowed to, but this wasn't on the floor at his booth. He did it in private area, so it was okay. But he used to do this at his table, like
That looks like a G-Shock watch that he's wearing. Looks like mine.
oh yeah, but they made him stop doing it on the floor.
You're not
The
allowed to
size
wear
of his
Amazing.
arms, dude. Good lord.
Oh, so follow up.
There you go.
That's my
Oh.
nephew Caleb when he was super young. His first convention ever as well with Sid Haig. Also not on the convention floor. We were just kind of hanging out, around the outskirts of the building, just chilling out at Horror Hound. And he walked up, and Caleb just had this shocked look on his face, and he goes, you, and he couldn't even get his name out. And he looks at Caleb, he looks at me, he's like, well, shit. I guess I got to take a picture with you, don't I? So like we didn't ask him. He just did it, and we happened to get somebody to shoot the picture for us and send it over. Yeah, we didn't not even ask him. It just
That is amazing.
I forget how big he was.
he was huge. 'Cause I'm not a small guy, and he.
I know.
Yeah,
Like I
he-
was looking, I was gonna be like, your nephew's huge, and I'm like, and Sid's like a foot taller than you are.
And
Holy
imagine
shit.
this: my nephew is now Sid's height. From that picture years ago, he is now actually his height. He's huge.
Yeah. This is another side note to the thing. Arnold's is the bar that we go to. Best Bloody Marys, by the way, in Lincoln, Nebraska. Go have them make you one at Arnold's. It takes a short period of time because they don't just dump mix and stuff together, but not like 10 minutes or anything. But there are a couple of regulars there, more than one, who are over 7 feet tall. So me and my mother, who's like here to me now, and I'm 5'5", we're just like, I thought they were standing on things the first time I saw them. I was like, are they standing on that back booth thing or something? And it's like, no, that's just Joe. He's 7'3". I'm like,
He's huge.
and he walks by, and yet I see his belt buckle, as he's going around. And there's one other guy that's that tall, but yeah, they don't even.
Yeah,
have to step-
people that tall always make me jealous. Here I am. I'm 5'7", flat-footed, and I wear boots a lot, so I call myself 5'8". But to be perfectly honest, I'm 5'7". I'm not that tall, and I hate it. I'm like, I feel like I'm of average height compared to a lot of guys. But then I go to a concert, and I can't see shit because there's always somebody 6 foot plus standing in front of me. Like I can't see past them. It's just like, why couldn't I have been taller?
Right, dude.
You're as tall as mom.
As a former mosher, yeah, but I was the little one that was like picking people up and doing all that kind of stuff. So I was short enough that I could grab the people and pull them up.
Oh yeah.
This person?
Oh man, that's Tom Savini himself. I was even younger at this one. This was not the first time I met Tom, but this was the year that World Parody Productions, who I did Slashers Gone Wild with, it was our first time that we were at a table right next to his. So I spent this entire fucking convention randomly drinking and talking to Tom, like literally the whole fucking time.
Cool.
And he is the godfather of special effects in so many ways, especially for zombies. Has his own school that used to be out near Cleveland. Now it has moved to Pennsylvania, the home of the zombies. Just a super respected and well-known guy in the community, man. Like, everybody's got a Tom story. Some are good, some are bad, but everybody's got a Tom story.
Yeah,
You can't go to Tom conventions without having a Tom story.
It's considered prestigious to be able to go to a Savini school. It's almost like if you can rep that. I don't want your butt in my face when I'm trying to talk. If you can rep that you went to Savini, sorry. if you can rep that you went to Savini school, it's almost like a guaranteed job in the industry sometimes.
It's fun that you said that right when Raz landed on top of you. That you're like, I don't want your butt in my face.
Wow. So this particular picture, this is also a legendary human being right here. This is Anders Hove, who is most known for playing Radu in the subspecies vampire series from Full Moon. Just a brilliant, just super kind human being, man. And again, everything we're showing you is all from Horror Hound's past right now. There's millions of pictures. I'm telling you. There's even some with me and my mom, like with people at some of these, man. Just all kinds of craziness.
I don't have
like,
those.
oh shit, I have no
I just
idea
have
what's
the ones
there
I
anymore.
sent you.
Oh yeah, all I know is there's a lot of it on. If y'all ever want to find it yourselves, there's a ton of it on my Facebook, on my personal Facebook, like a shit ton.
Let's go looking.
I don't really have any pictures like that. The closest I have is a picture of me with Butch Patrick that I got at Transworld, and then he also did a car show here in Dublin with the Dragula and the Monster Mobile.
Oh yeah,
and that's about it, really.
Oh yeah, it looks like there's a whole folder worth of pictures from Horror Hound back in 2014. That is nuts. Super nuts. But yeah, all kinds of shit with me you guys can find on there and check me out. Yeah, lots of Horror Hounds, lots of just insanity and me doing fun things with fun people, man. Just lots of fun stuff.
Well, it seems like you'd be the person to go to a Horror Hound with because you got the hookup.
I mean, I used
or
to.
strange shit just happens to you and you end up in these situations that make it worthwhile.
Well, yeah, honestly, like I used to actually know a lot more people than I do know, and that's just, that kind of depressed me actually last year, towards the end of last year. I was reaching out to people I used to know, like a lot of contacts, some even bigger, horror and B horror stars, and it got down to the point where well, we kind of remember you, but like, then some of them just didn't at all, because when you're out of the circuit, a year or two before COVID, all the way through now, the whole world's changed. Agents I used to know that that were my connect people have either passed or no longer in the business. Like some of the stars have just moved on, and they've had so many more experiences, and I haven't seen them 20 times a year. So you meet people and you forget about people you don't see in a while, and you expect that when you're not in the circuit anymore. But it was tough for me to lose a lot of that, and now I'm in this like rebuilding phase, and I'm finding out I know a lot more people than I used to. Oh fucking hey, what's up, Ken? Man, Ken, I've not talked to you in way too long, brother. Way too fucking long. The first haunt I ever worked at, ever, the Huber Heights Haunted Trails, I actually got to work with Ken quite a bit. One of the first bands I was ever in, Alloy, was also with Ken in Ken's garage.
And yes, for any con experience, Raz is a must. Even my con experience that he wasn't going to, I ended up with 13 hours of Raz.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. I just drove you there
because Delta didn't work, and I got lost in Detroit. Stuck in Detroit, and they drove me from Dayton to Detroit, picked me up, and drove me all the way to Norwich, Connecticut.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Quick fun story. Yeah. I told you guys recently, I think it was on the last Padded Soul one before it, that I once got super drunk with some friends I was in a band with in a garage, and I played a fast version of Happy Birthday and calmed the person into believing that I had written it. That was in Ken's garage. That was in Ken's garage.
Ken, your garage is legendary.
It was a very legendary garage. A lot of things happened in that garage when we were young. Many things.
All the things.
Yeah, all the things for quite some time. Yeah, Horror Hound really is a magical place, guys. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, even though I don't know as many people as I used to, I've already got smoke sessions booked when I'm there. I've already got some hangout time with some people I haven't seen in a while and people I'm excited to see again. It's just so much coolness, man.
So you live really close, but
really close.
My lesson has been learned already, and this year I got in earlier than usual. My whole second time. But I learned that a lot of hotels fill up really fast around things like this. So
they do.
If you are going to try to travel to some place that's out of state and you're planning on going to a con, as long as you trust, like with Horror Hound, that it's going to be a good time, no matter they're going to cast it well. It's going to have great guests.
And we'll get into that here in a few minutes too. Yeah.
Before they started even announcing the guests, be ready to go ahead and book and get ready to go, because those hotel rooms are gone.
They are.
And it's like, okay, well, the only thing left in town is the chicken coop behind the gas station, or the Super King Suite that costs you $500 a night.
Those don't exist over here, by the way, because Ohio is different. We don't have. I mean, I'm sure there are secret ones for rich people, but even our nice hotels, like the one you stayed in, you're looking. That would have been a max, maybe 150, 200, like worse. Nah, about 150, 175 a night, probably here.
Yeah, I think that's about what I paid for it. But I was looking, if I had not gotten that, it was, oh no, I'm paying over 200. But
Well, are you going to the Horror Hound?
I'm talking with taxes. Like
No.
That's about how much it is. Like with taxes,
wow.
it's about
That's-
that. Oh yeah, we
cheap.
stayed in a shitty hotel on our way home from dropping you off in Connecticut, and it was like 160, 170. And we were like, what the fuck? That'd have been like a $60 hotel where we live.
Yeah, because some of the hotels will, as soon as the thing is announced, they'll start giving discounts if you book right then.
Yeah.
So you'll get a con discount if you prove that you're going to the con. But there are people who, like, the one that I'm going to this year is at the Mohegan Sun Casino, and they put up rooms, and they had to put up like another 50 rooms, and this isn't until mid-August. And they already, like last month, put up another 50 rooms because they ran out of the people doing the prepay. And so, but those rooms, like, they don't cover the whole weekend. It's like you get a discount on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because that's the night that everything's going on when they get the most people there. But otherwise, the rooms are like $400 or something. And I mean,
and that's another great thing about cons too, like Horror Hound. The discount that you get at all the competing hotels in the area, it's for the whole weekend. That's for Friday and Saturday night at least. And some you can talk into a Thursday and a Sunday if you're cool with them. Sometimes you can. But here's the secret about going to cons. No matter how early, booking too early is bad. Believe it or not, booking too early with the hotel the con is in is bad. Here's why: the system changed. Things happen. Like if you book a year in advance, you're more likely to get fucked when you get there. And this is through experience, through seeing this happen, through friends that run hotels near cons. What happens is your booking is in the system for so long, it's there. They can see it in their system, but sometimes they retrain people. They train new people. They don't see that in their system. They double book days. I've known people that have booked a year and a half that used to always book a year and a half, like, oh, con's over. As I'm leaving the hotel, I'm going to go ahead and book for next weekend, next year, because by then you usually already know the date. And have gotten there and they were double booked and ended up having no hotel. They were just giving their money back and had no place to go.
Well, I wanted to make sure I got in before, there weren't
just
rooms
be
left.
careful. But the way to combat that is the month before the con, wait exactly a month before, call, double check, make sure it's refreshed, make sure it's in there. And then again, the week before you go, call one more time. If you do that, it just kind of keeps it refreshed in the system. It cuts down the chance of you getting screwed. Another super cool thing, Airbnbs, people. If you've never tried them and you're traveling with a group, actually, for the price you would pay for one hotel room night, you can get one night in Airbnb that has numerous rooms with a giant kitchen and all kinds of other fun stuff, sometimes a hot tub. And the prices on that are really, really reasonable. And I happen to know for Horror Hound, there is a shit ton available, all within 15 to 20, anywhere from like 3 minutes to 20 minutes from Horror Hound right now, all open on Airbnb. I know because that's what we're looking into booking, one of the many ones that are available. Because all the hotels are done mostly booked up over there. But get something that's got a kitchenette or a kitchen if you can. Food gets expensive at cons, man. Put more money into having fun than you do in your stomach by just getting some sandwich shit. Go back during lunch, eat and have breakfast, where you're at. Like, it's a little bit more work, but you're going to have more fun in the long run.
Hydrate. Keep
Lots of
bottles
water.
of water.
Ours had a continental breakfast, and we made sure we hit up the continental breakfast every morning before we went to the con.
You got to, man. Like, it's don't go hungry. You're going to be
Bananas
miserable.
for your knees.
And wear comfortable shoes.
Yes.
Your legs will
You're going to be
sore
on your
'cause-
feet all day long, and there might not be a lot of places to sit down.
And I can't say it enough. Cargo pants, or cargo shorts, depending on the con and the season. Have as many pockets as you can. Trust me, having pockets and things to put into pockets is a lot easier than carrying a lot of shit around with you just in your hands or in person, because that gets cumbersome. If you've got your car, make drop offs. If you're at a hotel that's nearby, once, twice a day, get a shuttle over, walk over, whatever you got to do. Do drop offs. Do not carry that shit with you all day. It's not fun.
See
Or
if
if
you
you're
can.
wearing a costume, sew some pockets inside your costume so
Yes.
things can, disappear under your clothing, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, see if you can find. I know there's a vendor that does it where I'm going every year. They sell like homemade root beer, and they sell steins.
Yeah.
That if you buy this stein, it's free root beer whenever you see them.
Yep.
At any con, you can take
A
it.
lot of cons do that.
And yeah, so there are places where you can go and just be like, I spent $50, and now every time I go to any one of these vendors at any con, I can go back 30 times a day and I get this filled for
Yeah.
free the whole time.
I'm not sure if Horror Hound is
So-
doing that now. They might be, because that's gotten popular since I stopped going to cons. But I know it's been a popular thing. So I don't know if they do that there or not, but they might. They usually have a whole food like area, like a giant food court. Like I know Zombie Dogs used to be there before they went out of business, but they get like some horror related food companies in there, some other food companies. So they might actually do that there now, as far as I know. I'll find out and let you know.
Yeah, it's just something extra cool to have with you, and it's like, oh, that's really expensive. It's like, go buy one sandwich and a Coke. Tell me how expensive that is for free refills all weekend.
It's
It probably costs like $20.
Oh yeah. So getting a little bit more of the con, we talked about the guests, and I kind of want to go through the guests. I'm not gonna like
Yes.
pause and talk about each single one, because that'd make the show by itself like last 10 hours. So we're just gonna kind of go through it real quick. So Henry Rollins is doing a show on Friday night. Found out it is mostly sold out, so I may not even be able to go to it, which sucks. And then I
see Henry
gotta leave.
Rollins so bad.
I gotta leave on Friday night anyway to do a haunt thing. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna get to see him probably, but that's okay, because I will see him again. Hopefully with Dell again. That's my life goal, is to see with Dell again. So that's the big thing that's going on Friday night, and they're bringing back karaoke at the con, which you will find videos of me doing karaoke from that weekend. They're doing that Friday night and Saturday, so hopefully I'll get back in time Friday to do it. If not, I'll be doing it some on Saturday. Also, that Saturday, before I get into the guests, like I said, is the Night Terrors after party concert and etc., where they're still doing some karaoke. I know there's some great bands. Actually, I'm trying to see where the actual lineup for this is. Here we go. The event schedule. You gotta love the event schedules, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. It's so hard to find out the way they have this all set up. There's just so much happening.
I want to see the Merkins.
But I'm having trouble finding the exact information right now. It's here. It's easy to navigate. I'm just in a hurry, and I'm somewhat lazy about it. But yeah, there are bands playing. There's giveaway. They're apparently doing more giveaways than they've ever done before at an after party at this one. You'll win merchandise from films, merchandise from Horror Hound. Sometimes they'll do tickets to the next Horror Hound, like either the cosplay, contest, or just all kinds of different stuff. So you never know what they're going to have there. Another great thing is they're doing the second ever Horror Hound Film Festival. We're talking shorts and feature movies starting Friday all the way through Sunday. So I'm actually going to get a chance to see some shit that you guys have never even heard of before and talk about, because I'm quite sure I'm going to be going to a number of these films. Don't know if I'll get to go to all of them, but I'm going to go to at least a couple a day and see if maybe I can even cover the Q&A if that's possible, or at least get an interview after it's over, like a quick interview with the filmmaker and talk a little bit about the project.
Looking through what is going on here, you guys definitely have to try to get somebody taping the Raimi Brothers panel.
Yeah, we've got two cameras.
All right.
I got to double check one of the cameras to make sure the sound is good on it. If not, I just got to buy a quick mic for it. But I know the one on my camera is very loud and clear. So.
And the house panel on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the panels real quick before. Well, let me know. We should do the guests first, because that kind of informs what a lot of the panels are going to be. To be honest with you.
You know what? I'm gonna see if I can put those up on a screen somehow. Let me see if.
Okay.
That's the slip. Where?
The home page is where they list the guest
Oh,
pages.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I moved over to something.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can put that, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll try to
Bring
do
that up and
I
just
wonder
scroll
what
through it.
Henry Rollins is talking about then, because I only
Anything
know
and everything, Ron.
one horror movie that he's ever actually done. But
more than one, buddy. More than one. Which one are you thinking?
the one where they were underground in a cave, and like the soldiers went underground in a cave, and he was played one of the doctors. I can't think of the name of it.
I'm trying to think of the name of that one. That one's got me off guard. Oh, Feast. No. I mean, he wasn't Feast. But that's not the one you're thinking of.
No, Feast he was only in the first Feast, and he had on a pair of pink sweatpants.
Yeah. He was in Feast, Suck, Wrong Turn 2, Dead End. He Never Died, She Never Died, The Devil's Tomb, Lost Highway, The Last Heist.
He Never Died.
He Never Died. I don't think he was in She Never Died, though.
Apparently, yeah,
that was a completely different character.
I'm aware, but apparently he had a cameo. According to I hadn't seen that one yet, but according to this, he does have a cameo in it. Also, he did Dreamland and in the House of Flies. So he's been in a number, but he doesn't. He's so like these events like this on Friday nights. That just means that he happens to be playing a show near the con. Like while the con's going on in a different location. So this is like across the street at a different location, kind of a thing.
So it doesn't have to be necessarily horror related. It's just one of his
normal shows,
his talks.
Yeah,
public speaking,
one of his
orations. We
did try to get Henry, but he sent us a very cool, very honest email, and he's like, "Look, I don't want to offend you guys. You seem cool." But I've been doing everything everyone has ever put in front of me for 40 years, and I'm really tired of doing interviews right now. He's like, but thank you for getting a hold of me, et cetera, et cetera. And we responded and just said, listen, dude, you're God, basically. We are not offended remotely. We tell everyone that you're the best storyteller we've ever experienced. Anything ever changes, let us know. So that was a really cool way to just, and he didn't even have to respond at all. So the fact that he did, and he was so cool about it, just honestly makes me love him more.
He's not lying either, because he has brought up in a lot of like podcasts that he's done, a lot of the talks that he's done, that he hates to say no to a project just because of his whole work ethic. He doesn't know when he's going to work again, or I would think at this point in his life, though, that he's probably made his bank and he's not too worried about it. But I think it's just ingrained now that he hates to tell people no.
Yeah.
But I completely get that, especially when you're already doing a show on that weekend. And
exactly.
You have to kind of manage your time.
And he was not really going to be there after. That was just a show, then a move on kind of situation for him. But yeah, let's get to these guests.
All right.
Okay.
Ooh.
Juliette Lewis, Juliette and the Licks.
Eli Roth.
Do you want me to keep scrolling, or do you want to?
Yeah. Do the scroll, otherwise this take forever.
Okay.
Sam Raimi. Nice. Got some Sam. Ryder Strong, aka Boy Meets World and Cabin Fever there.
There we go.
These two are my top 4 favorite wrestlers of all time. Literally, it goes Mick Foley, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Triple H. So having Foley and Nash in the same place, and if I can swing it, I'm going to try to do the actual meet and greet with Mick as well, if I can swing it.
Cool.
Ooh, Jane Levy from Evil Dead. Fantastic. Virginia Gardner from Halloween. I'm excited about Paul Walter Hauser, too. I absolutely love him in Cobra Kai. And Patricia Velasquez, yeah.
All right.
We got a Backstreet Boy, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Carter himself. I'm also excited about Joel David Moore. Hatchet's one of my favorite series of all time, but I absolutely loved him in Bones. He was one of my favorite side characters in Bones.
Me too.
Yeah.
Now, Hatchet was also with Kane Hodder, wasn't it?
In fact, yes, Kane Hodder and Adam Green, who made Hatchet and the amazing television show Holliston. I had a personal connection to Adam at one point in time. I'm trying to reach out to him again right now. I'm shooting hard to be able to talk to Adam for a little bit, hopefully, at the convention.
Nice.
Super great guy. Natasha Henrich, Miss Species herself. Every guy just about that I knew back in that day had a poster of her in some shape or form. And we got some Freddie Rodriguez. I absolutely 6 Feet Under is one of my favorite old school shows, and he was fantastic in that. And of course, the Grindhouse
Oh,
films.
yeah.
All right, now we get to some more lovely ladies.
So another 6 Feet Under, Justina Machado, a ton of other shit besides that as well. And I'm excited about Heather Donahue. Heather goes by Ray now. There was a big thing in the rights where they used their real names in the movie, so it ended up the studios owned their names. And she, amongst some of the other cast members, actually kind of went through a lot of issues, like almost like identity crisis level. And the stuff she's managed to do with her life is amazing. We're actually talking to her back and forth in emails right now as well to get her book. As y'all know,
cool.
Blair Witch is one of my favorite movies ever made. And speaking of Blair Witch, we actually have Josh and Mike.
Ooh.
If you look at Mike's, I think it's his Twitter, he says, "Yes, I kicked that fucking map in the river," which is just a super awesome nod to Blair Witch.
God damn it.
And the filmmaker himself, Eduardo Sanchez, I've gotten to meet him once in the past before. I'm hoping to catch up with him again. And the incomparable Jeffrey Combs. From Beyond, Reanimator, The Frighteners. So much.
Frighteners was a cool movie.
He was great in that.
I like that.
Barbara Crampton and Bruce Abbott, both from The Reanimator. Excited about that. Again, I'm not going to list all the things they've been in, just the top things that they're keyed in, because we would be here for a while. Ken Foree is one of the most underrated horror actors of all time, and has been almost in everything you can possibly imagine, and then a lot you didn't even realize he was in. He's absolutely amazing. I met him like 3 or 4 times. Super cool guy. Pale Ozaro, Walking Dead.
Ken Foree, Devil's Rejects just cracked me up.
He's hilarious in that one, dude. Like, just straight up. Another one I'm super excited about, Ethan Suplee, Mallrats. My Name is Earl. There's so many projects, but a lot of USQ stuff that I love him for. And so I'm excited to talk about sailboats with him if I have the opportunity.
I don't see it.
Lars Fredrickson. It's funny because he's from Rancid, and Brooke was asking me, who the fuck is this guy? And I was like, you've heard of Rancid? No. I'm like, shit, I keep forgetting your child. Of course you don't know who Rancid is. Oh, Jordan Ladd, Cabin Fever, Grindhouse. Jordan is a goddess straight up, and so is Serena Benson, also from Cabin Fever. Having both of them in one film was glorious. More Cabin Fever guys. We got James DeBella and Joey Kern. Again, they've both been in an absolute shit ton of things, but their roles in Cabin Fever are amongst the greatest by far. James Jude Courtney from the entire recent Halloween trilogy. Really, really excited to see him and hopefully get a chance to talk to him. And also Ron Campbell from Halloween Ends.
Okay. Ooh, another Raimi.
That's Ivan. So we officially have all 3 Raimis together, ladies and gentlemen. That's shocking and amazing at the same time. That fact that Sam has time off to do anything, let alone a con right now, is mind blowing. And Robert Longstreet, man, like we've seen him in a lot of things. Haunting in Hill House is one of my favorite things he's ever done. Just straight, I loved him in it. I love him in everything he's done, but there's just something that just hits you about his character in Hill House.
And Ted Raimi.
Ted Raimi.
There's that Ted.
Shocker.
Ted is one of those people I have met more than almost any other celebrity in the history of mankind, because not only all the horror hounds, but all the other conventions I've gone to, Ted is a lot like Kane. It's weird to even have a convention without the two of them. It's super weird to not see them both there. So it's always a good time when Ted's around, man. He's a super cool guy. Very nice. Legit Jewett, I've never met her. She's obviously newer. She just did The Exorcist Believer recently. She's done a couple other things again. Black Panther, a couple other things as well.
And here's the other girl from Exorcist Believer.
Yep. Olivia O'Neill. Also excited to meet her, and of course George Wendt from House and Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. That's another super exciting one for me as well.
We have to get my dad at least needs an autograph photograph to go behind my brother's bar. There's the Ted. Yeah, the other guy.
And I'll be able to give you the information like while I'm there how we're gonna do that, but we'll figure that how to
William
get that done.
Cat, greatest American hero.
Yeah, Greatest American Hero, Carrie, House,
Wow.
also another person I'm super excited to get a chance to hopefully meet.
He aged really well.
Very well,
Yeah.
man. Very
He looks
distinguished.
good.
Got Samara Lee. I'm excited to see to meet her as well because I was really hard on the Annabelle franchise, but I actually really loved Annabelle creation, and to find out that she's the girl that the Annabelle doll is based on, like as far as the movie itself goes, like the lore behind it.
Mhm.
Wow, there are a
Oh.
lot of people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Zach Galligan, Gremlins himself, and again a lot of other stuff as well. But let's be honest, his thing is straight up Gremlins. Gremlins everything. Of course, Hatchet 3, but Gremlins. I've met him 5 times previously to now. He is also another one of those just genuinely kind fucking human beings, man. He's super cool. I've interviewed him a couple times, so hopefully we'll be able to do that again. Samantha Mathis, also excited. American Psycho. She was also Daisy in the original Mario Brothers movie. Again, amongst other things, but Brian Usna, Brighter Reanimator, and the Dentist. Dude, it's going to be excited to see him too because he did also From Beyond, Dolls. A lot of people actually, people like me that are a little bit more into obscure things, Warlock and Dagon. He played fairly important characters in both of those as well. And this is where we're getting out of right now, like the film star folks. Getting to the rest of the guests, we got Dead Meat showing up. I'm excited. I'm excited to meet them as well. I'm excited to meet everyone because that's what this is about. Charles Band, Mr. Full Moon Pictures himself, along with Richard Band. You got to get the team up here. I'm a big fan of Full Moon. I'm hoping to talk to Charles as well. I've met and interviewed him numerous times as well, but he's always a good time. Lloyd Kaufman, I will be interviewing Lloyd Kaufman to a degree when we're there. I've already talked to his folks, and of course I've got the connection from being in one of the anniversary copies of the Toxic Avenger, where I have a very touching moment where Lloyd asked me to a full set of the Toxic movies and a bunch of other stuff, all signed by him and some cast members. If I just got on the camera that he had and said that the first time I ever pleasured myself was the shower scene in the first Toxic Avenger, so I did it, and it's in there, and I got signed everything. It was worth it, and Lloyd's a great guy. Uncle Lloyd's awesome. We got Paul Davis, definitely big director. He's done a lot of really awesome stuff. He actually was a Wookiee in Solo, so I guess we're continuing. We took a little bit of break, but we're continuing back in the actors. Ooh, we got one of our Bloodscream Comics, Aaron Brown. That's cool. We got Rodney Barnes, who wrote the Blackula comic.
Yeah, and we're really hoping to get someone from him.
Yes.
And James Kahoric.
I'm excited about James Kahoric as well, man. The Fright Night, the Hatchets. He's done some amazing horror comics. Absolutely brilliant human being.
Oh, yeah.
And we got Jason Edmonston. Sorry, can't even talk. He did a lot of art for Mad Magazine back in the day. Like that was the big thing for me because I was an absolute enormous fan.
Me too.
Sarah Deck does a lot artwork with Arrow Video and Morgue. Even some with Disney. I didn't realize she did stuff with Disney. That's awesome. And of course, Fangoria, Horror Hound, Universal. So she does a lot of artwork for a lot of people. And I love that Beetlejuice that they've got in the background of her picture. Like that's one of my favorite scenes. Again, we're definitely into the artist category. We got Maddie Ryan Tobin. He does stuff for Waxwork Records, Fright Rag, Super 7, A24, Horror Hound. You'll see a lot of people that actually do artwork for Horror Hound that come into the guest panels because they get amazing artists.
Yeah. And
let's see, Gary Pullen does art for Rue Moore, Waxwork Records, Horror Hound, Mad Magazine, Arrow Video, Fangoria. Dave Nestler. Acme Archives, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, 20th Century Fox, Universal, Sony, Disney. But that creature picture,
and more.
And unfortunately, we had Mike Flanagan. He was one of 2 cancellations to work. Him and his wife, Katie Siegel. Katie thought she was going to make it, and then last minute, like literally I think it was like 4 days ago, she found out that she was going to be needed for the project as well, which means Mike Flanagan's in production on something we're excited about. And then when they announced that, that was also the same day they announced that Kevin Nash was going to be there. And apparently, we're supposed to be expecting some additional updates. So in some later shows, we'll kind of update you guys on what guests and stuff have changed.
Yeah. Now, did you want to look through any of? We don't want to go through all the vendors and stuff, do we?
We can do we can just talk about like a quick highlight if you want. Let's see, vendors. We got some vendors that people should know about.
Okay.
Do you want to go ahead and just start listing some off?
I can pull up the screen again.
Oh, that's fine.
Ready to go. So, Amok Time, 12 Gauge Gore, Atomic Cotton, Bell Book and Comic.
Wait, stop for a second.
Okay.
Bell Book and Comic is famous in my world and in my book series. This is the comic book shop that the characters are at in the beginning of Silence's Crimson 2. And Pete, the comic book store owner who has a big part in the third book, is going to be at the con with his company. So if you want to meet Pete, in fact, buy a copy of Silence's Crimson 2 and just walk up to Pete and ask him to sign it. I just talked to Pete again at Frogman Festival to let him know the book was actually did finally come out. First time I had a chance to talk to him. So it'd be really hilarious if you get a copy of the book and just go, "Hey, will you sign this?" Because he's not even physically seen the book yet, and it would be amazing to screw with him that way, I think.
Okay,
But you better get the book soon because the con's coming up quickly.
And the next one I have a story about too. Betty Pooch. Betty Pooch is a company by an amazing fucking human being that makes pet collars and things for your pets, all horror related. Dogs, cats, all kinds of stuff. I bought numerous pet collars from her over the year, and I'm actually hoping to buy some for my boys at this one. Honestly, it's an amazing booth, and support the shit out of it. Like, personally, for me, if you're there, support it, please.
Nice. Big Purple Glasses. I'm not sure about them. We have Blood Moon Pictures, Blood Screen Comics, and the Bruja Betty pinup.
So Blood Moon Pictures, that's PJ Starks, who I was talking to. We're going to get an interview with him for New Year's Eve and some of his other projects. Yeah, we're super excited about that.
And Byron Winton, Calandra Studio, and Carissa's Creations.
Oh, that Calandra Studio image right there. That is Julie, the character Julie from Return of the Living Dead 3. That was also in that really crazy movie Killer Tongue that we watched for two movies ago. Or a movie ago, 2 movies ago. Something like that.
That was fun.
I still need to watch.
Yeah, you do.
Creature Cosmetics, Creepy Customs, and Crypt Keeper's Halloween Emporium.
I'm excited about that one too, just for the haunt stuff alone.
Dead Ink, Donald England, and then Fangoria.
And Fangoria is the longest running horror magazine in literally all of existence.
It was around when I was a kid, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's pretty much the big contenders, and a lot of people's opinions anyway, are Fangoria and Horror Hound itself and Rumorg. Those are 3 of the bigs as far as horror goes.
Got Fright Rags, Full Moon Pictures, and Halftone Horror Art and Apparel.
I'm excited to get some shirts from Fright Rags. They make some of the best premium horror shirts, even obscure horror stuff. Of course, Full Moon, Charles Band, we talked about him earlier, is going to be there. Hopefully we get to talk to him.
Hensia Co. I'm not sure if I got that right. Hairbrain period panties.
Let me just say, we were not sure, so we looked it up. Period panties are an actual thing. They are sold for women for that time of the month, etc. That is that, but horrified.
Okay.
We looked up the company because we saw it and we're like, what the hell? So yeah, I think we're going to try and get down there and talk to them as well. So I want to talk to some vendors when we do some of the interviews, to talk to them about their stuff and promote them.
There's Hell Couture as well.
They look pretty cool too. We checked them out as well.
Then of course Horror Hound magazine, the Horror House, the Cryptic Closet, and Horror Show Jack.
Horror Show Jack's pretty cool.
Very spiky teeth there.
Yes, he does.
Jellico, a nutritious blend of cute and creepy.
So we thought that was food. It is not food. we were just double checking it. But like the prints you see in the background, kind of like the cutesy horror stuff.
Yeah.
They have a lot of different products with like that kind of stuff on it. It turns out, but not food. And I wanted baby jelly, and I was just really sad that I can't get baby jam, and I can't get that now. So
We got John Everson and John Kitley.
excited about them
looks
as
like
well. Authors.
Authors.
They're authors.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a number of authors there,
The Living Dead Dolls.
which are brilliant company. Been around for decades now. All your favorite horror characters turn into dolls.
I can't actually read this one because the vendor's over top of it, but something local. I'm assuming it's
Conland.com.
local. Well, there's something before that underneath the thing, I think, but
Yeah, I cannot tell. Yeah,
yeah, because we're in the L's right now, so I'm going with Loco Online or something.
Loco Online.
Something
Maybe
like
like
that.
that's how it sounds when you put it together. We're not
Yeah.
sure. We apologize, but I will make
Sorry.
sure. Yeah, we showed them when we were there.
London 1888.
I'm not
Great
sure what that is
time.
offhand, but it sounds amazing.
That sounds like a Jack the Ripper thing,
Yeah,
I was
because
thinking. I was thinking Jack the Ripper too. Like maybe it's a serial
or
killer.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think was run that same time.
Okay. Lydia Burris looks artist to me.
Yep,
I'm not
artist.
sure. All right, MB Subculture and Michael West.
Nice, Michael. I believe is a comic book artist, or it looks like maybe a comic book artist or writer. I can't tell from here.
It looks like both.
Yeah,
I think
again, it does
he
look like
writes
both.
for and has some really great artwork up behind him as well.
Oh yeah.
Mike Guidone, Mr. Hamilton, and Mitch O'Connell. There's somebody named Mitch O'Connell, but it's not this guy.
I know Mitch O'Connor, which is Cartman's hand when he does his hand puppets, and he's got his whole other persona.
My Little Demon, One Man Riot, and Paul Bearer Press.
I'm going to be talking to them as well. They have a lot of fantastic authors under them that I'm excited to get a chance to. Hopefully they'll be there. I can talk to them or at least get their contact. And My Little Demon, if I remember correctly, is like horror merchandise and clothing for children. I'm wanting to say. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Do they do it in kind of a My Little Pony motif?
No, like it'll be just straight horror shit, but like onesies and fun stuff like that.
Interesting.
Nice. Pretty Spooky Handmade.
They make
Print
all
picks.
kinds of cool shit, man. Like so many different like handmade like jewelry is just really fun stuff.
Also the Real Ohio Ghostbusters.
Yep.
In case you're wondering, Drew is still Ghostbuster Band 1984. So
Yep.
if you want to
We've
look
had-
up our own,
Had Real Ohio Ghostbusters show up at Scaratorium when I was working there.
Yeah, they show up for a lot of events all over Ohio. A buddy of mine just opened up a store in Beaver Creek and had them out there for the grand opening. So like they're very active in their communities and all the cons in Ohio, and of course they're connected in all the other chapters. The Ghostbusters, like Drew, we were talking about. Like they're a really good representation of what the Ghostbusters stand for.
Yeah, they're really good with kids too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they make it fun for the kids.
Very much.
now we have Red Death Studios,
Yep.
Rock Bottom Video, and Rosendale Retro.
Always some great indie filmmakers and small production companies that I'm excited to get a chance to talk to and meet up with.
I imagine some of them will probably have those shorts and the movie thing.
Yeah, a number of them do. Yeah.
The Salty Hive Handmade Home and Body Gift Shop.
What you think of soaps, things like that? I'm actually kind of excited to go talk to them as well.
Scare Flare, which has the battery and some other thing, Night Riders.
Yep.
Behind it. Scream Team Releasing. Looks like another film company.
Yep.
Severin, Sean Stambo, and
Matt
Shock
Singer.
Studios.
Yep.
Stephen Luros Holiday.
Mhm.
Strict Nine Sisters looks like jewelry makers and
Yes, and it's amazing.
types things. Okay. Synapse Films.
A fairly well-known production company.
All right. Terror Threads. I've heard of them before. The Monster Squad of Terror Vision.
Yes, we're really
And-
excited about that too.
Trick or Treat Studios.
That's another known production company we're excited to have some representation for.
let's see how do I pronounce this. Oh,
Trauma,
you mean
Trauma Entertainment.
I
Yeah.
was joking.
The
actually.
Lord
Trauma
Kaufman
Yes.
Trauma Vision.
We're excited to see them, and they usually have a lot of
Yeah.
scream queens like that are known in the industry come at their booths and hang out and talk as well. So I'm excited to see what their lineup's going to be this time around.
Nice.
I have a a backstory for one of my haunt characters that I always thought would make a great Trauma movie.
You should show up and tell them, man.
Tyrant Toys and Collectibles buy, sell, and trade. Looks like they got a bunch of props and books and movies and all sorts of stuff there.
Yeah,
and
cool.
Ugly Kids Club.
We looked that one up too. It's like an old school kids club, but it's like kitty horror stuff and things like that. It looks pretty cool, like for the youngins.
Nice. Unearthed Films.
They're a great company.
Vile Consumption looks like horror comics.
Yep, they are horror comics.
All right. Vinegar Syndrome.
That's another great production company.
All right. Wacky Wicks candles.
So like the Saints candles that you can buy in stores. It's like the tall. Yeah, so that's what it is, but with horror characters.
I see Harry and the Hendersons. I see Alf.
Yeah, they have some other pop culture stuff too, on top of the horror. But I'm really excited to see because I'm definitely gonna get some of those as well.
All right, and with Wicked FX, is this our Wicked FX?
So that's one the Pyle's been working with.
That's ours.
It is. It is.
Right.
That's some friends of the show that they made the mini Monties that we did the giveaways, the 3D printing. Pyle works with them a lot. They are absolutely amazing people. I can't wait to get a chance to hang out with them while I'm there.
Yeah, so go support Wicked Effects.
And they also might be producing something for me that goes along with a book that I'll be doing in the near future. I think we're going to be meeting up about that this coming week.
Dun dun dun.
Ba-dum-bum-bum. World of Strange, fantastic apparel.
They have just such amazing shit. Like all the kind of like Fright Rags, just World of Strange. All the apparel places are top notch here, and they tend to have cheaper prices than you see at a lot of other, major conventions. Like the quality of these things is just super amazing.
Awesome. Ooh, Zachariah Messiah's Morbid Curiosities. I see pythons in glass. So maybe some wacky some fun taxidermy stuff.
Oh yeah, there's he's got all kinds of cool shit out there, and again, I'm excited to see that too because this is a booth I've never been to before, but I know the reputation of the company, so like I'm hoping to get my actual first curiosity collection. Like I'm gonna start it hopefully there. Hopefully.
All right, and then last but not least, Zombie Works. If it walks but doesn't breathe, we've got it covered.
Yeah, and there's one other company I happen to know about that's not officially listed yet, but it will be shortly. That's going to be there. That's Rough House.
Yes.
Rough House Publishing. I'm actually going to get to meet Derek Rook and Steve Van Samson in person and do some hangouts.
Right. I have to say it right. You have to say it right.
No. I'm not under contract for this. You are. So why don't you say it right?
Steve Van Samson.
There's already been discussion of some hangouts.
Are going to be there.
And speaking of them, speaking of Steve, so new this year and actually starting this month, we're going to start doing these like mid-break ads because we have so many cool people we want to promote. And we want to announce right now, and also surprise you guys because I just finished uploading it, and we're talking about Steve Van Samson. This is our very first ever ad. So if you're in the Allied Army and you got some stuff you want to promote, or if you're not in the Allied Army, you can also hit us up. We're making some ad space available. We're doing a lot of things to kind of shake things up and promote amazing people. So without further ado...
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Dorking Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Bridge.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
Yeah.
It
So,
gives
yeah,
you a sad.
You guys hadn't even seen that yet. I just fucking posted that.
No, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Has he seen it yet?
Yes, actually,
Ooh, okay,
he
cool.
just confirmed that it was a go, and absolutely, I mean, went nuts, loved it, which meant so much to me that he liked it so much. I just got the okay from him to play it like 10 minutes ago, so I already knew I was going to play it tonight. I couldn't play it until I had his okay first, you know.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
that's the first of our like mid-show little ad breaks, guys. So start getting your stuff in there. I know I'm working on a couple more over the next week or so to throw in there from some Allied Army friends. But yeah, we're gonna have some ad space up. Get a hold of us.
Yeah. And you can check that out everywhere. I personally listen to them. I do all my podcast listening on Prime. If it's not a video podcast, sometimes Retro Octopus does have special video episodes. So you can check them out. Look on the Dorkening, and they might have their own YouTube channel as well.
They do.
where you can get both.
Retro Octopus does have their own Facebook, their own social medias, but they have their own YouTube. They don't put all their shows on YouTube, just some of the video shows. Otherwise, it's a lot of their audio stuff, which is available wherever.
Yeah.
You listen to podcasts.
But yeah, Rough House has been. You guys have seen me do some Unwrapped from Rough House, and it is insane the amount
We've
of
had
merch
Derek
that they
and
put out.
Steve on so many times, especially Steve. Like we've had him on like so many times. Like we love them at Rough House, at Retro Octopus. Like just amazing people, man. Any chance we get to hang out is a great time.
And if you like the old stuff, hop on the old stuff. If you like retro stuff, like all the stuff that was just shown, get on their website or get on their Facebook page, because weekly they do a reach out to all of their fans, and they'll say like, "Hey, this week we're doing a show on what was the hardest video game that you ever had to play when you were a kid." And so you'd put up stuff like that, and then they talk about it on the show, and they're like, "Well, this is one of our viewers does this," and then they'll talk about it all. So you get to be mentioned in their show too.
It's their Octoponder segment that they have on their Facebook. Yeah, you'll see me active on there all the time. Like every time they post one, I got on there. They were talking about video game myths the other day, like just this past week, and I popped on there like the dumbass that I am, because I do that, and I brought up the old Sega game Haunting. There was this secret code that everybody thought existed, that if you could figure it out, and figure out even what the code was to begin with, because this is back in the day where a lot of that stuff was yet experiment. There was a way to turn off the music to the game. Now the music is kind of silly and happy-go-lucky, like horror, like cheesy horror. But if you could find the way to turn the sound off, it made the game seem like much more fucked up. That turned out, I found out when I was a kid, to be true. And I found a message board that had all the information to turn the sound off, and it was that screwed up. But I was just excited that not only did he remember the game, he actually put the picture of the game up in the thread comment on that Facebook. So yeah, man, like just super awesome time.
Yeah, I sleep too late because sometimes they do it the day of, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, I missed the deadline again.
Oh yeah,
it's 6 p.m. and I'm awake just now.
Oh yeah, for all your retro love, that's the place to go, guys. It just is.
Oh yeah.
Hi, pretty kitty.
Sonata.
She's like, I'm gonna be on the show now. It's my turn. Squirrel was already there. Wasn't getting enough screen time on your lap because you're too short. So
yeah, I feel like we were playing with a twist tie on the floor, batting it around like it's some kind of rodent or something. I don't know what she's doing.
My two are just passed out in various places, and the other two are upstairs, passed out where who knows where. So I feel like we've done a fantastic job of covering a lot of what they've got to offer at the convention, guys. And like I said, there's the whole other side to this. Whole other side, which is the film festival, and that is the one thing we haven't talked about much yet. I don't know that we know a lot of what's going to be there for the film festival. That they've been releasing information and putting stuff out there. I'll check the event schedule real quick, because I think they had they have a lot. Yeah, they have the movies on the actual schedule for the panels and for pretty much everything. But there's just so much stuff, guys. Like it would take us so long to tell you all the individual films. There's so many films. There's just as many films, if not more films, than there are guests and panels. But the film festival goes on all weekend, and each day has sort of a theme, so you kind of know like what you're getting into, like for the day when you go. But you'll see the listings of the times. Again, this is horrorhoundweekend.com. You just got to go there to see literally all the information. And also the Horror Hound Weekend Facebook page. They tend to post things on the Facebook page before they post them on the website. So if you want like moment to moment updates, you've got to go to their Facebook page. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to that. So that way you can kind of keep updated and you get some, information on when things are going to change because things can change anytime. It's a con.
Yeah,
But
I'm
they're
dropping
very
y'all
good
a
at staying up
link.
to date on that. Do what?
Oh, I'm dropping a link in all of our different channels
Oh,
that we're
yeah.
on. So
Yeah.
if you hop over there, that should take you to the main page. On laptop anyway. I don't know if it's different for phones, but and then you can look through all the different. You saw at the top. There's how to get all the tickets, all the different things that are going on. You can check out the panels. You can check out the
Yeah.
films. You can check out the stuff that we already went through. You can look at each of those vendors and see what they're doing that we didn't go over.
And don't forget the new for this year, which is the art of horror. It's a whole section of the con. They always do the Ink Fusion Empire, like the tattoo artists, but this is an entire event called the art of horror. So there's gonna be so many like specialized horror artists, tattoo artists there, and so many things going on with that. So the tattoo side of things as well. That it's just we had festivals for film, tattoos, guests, panels, karaoke. Like this is literally a mecca for all things horror in all aspects. There's going to be other podcasts there too that aren't even on their guest list or like officially listed yet, like us, that are going to be going around, I'm sure, even interviewing each other. So there's literally no telling what shenanigans we're going to get into, who we're going to get to talk to from big to small, and just stick around, guys, because if we can get anybody from the convention itself as a guest to talk about the con, we're going to be working on, attempting to do that, if not beforehand, then while we're there. But any information can pop up. If there's any guest change, we'll talk about them a little bit. We won't do a whole show like this again, probably about until like right when it's happening or right after. But we will do the occasional updates, and if I can, even if it's from a phone, which I'll have to have someone else do for me because I'm a moron. We'll do some sort of little mini live stream, maybe each night if we can, just to kind of do some craziness. I know Pyle's going to want to when we kidnap people to take him to the haunt that Friday night. But more information on that actually coming up tomorrow on Legends by Night, because we have a special new show we got to talk about a little bit tomorrow with a new trailer for that and a giveaway we're going to be discussing and working on. So again, more on that tomorrow. Yes, we should all know what it is by this point. Just not you guys. Sorry, you suck.
Yeah. Have a completely random story.
Is it horror related, sir?
Yes, it is.
Then go before we get into our next segment. Go for it.
When you were scrolling through a lot of the celebrities that are going to be at Horror Hound, you had James DeBello and a couple of other people that were from the movie Cabin Fever.
Yes.
And I happen to have met the kid that played Dennis in that movie. If you are familiar with the white-haired kid that yelled out pancakes, then threw a flying sidekick off of the porch and attacked James DeBello's character.
Yes.
His name is Matthew Helms, and I met him because I was living in North Carolina at the time, and where the movie was filmed, and I was martial artist, and Matthew himself was a martial artist. I think about the time I met him, he was about 6 years old and studying Kuk So Wan. But I rode with, the Bitey Kid. I ended up riding, this is long before the movie. I ended up riding to Super Grand Champions in Washington, D.C. with Matthew, his mom, and his dad, Tom and Becky. And went down there, did the whole competition and all of that. And then later, I'd learned that Matthew got cast in this role for Cabin Fever. And I'm like, what? and then I saw the movie and I was like, holy shit. And it's kind of crazy because at the time that I knew him, I never knew anything like that. And you just can't foresee those kinds of things. And then Matthew himself, he moved out to Colorado and joined a professional ballet.
Oh, nice.
He became a professional ballet dancer, and he's really good.
I love
that. Is awesome, man.
But yeah, if you don't if you haven't seen Cabin Fever, go watch it. And if you see the little white blonde haired kid named Dennis, yeah, that was one of my martial arts contemporaries back when I was competing. It's just strange.
Weirdly, I have kind of a thing as well. Someone that I met in elementary school that only went to our school for I think it was a little less than a month. Maybe they moved and they thought they were going to stay there, and then movie roles happened, and it was Dewan Guy. He was the kid in Candyman. He was the little boy in Candyman. He also did Little Giants and a number of other stuff as well. But that was someone that I kind of I didn't really know we as well as you can know anyone that's in your elementary school, your small elementary school for less than a month. Knew his name, knew who he was, talked to him, had some lunchroom experiences, and that's it. Very small period of times. It's weird that when you meet someone, someone like you're saying, you seem to have a way more personal connection than I had. And to see those people later, you just see them in movies and stuff, it's nuts.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I've got video of Matthew performing kata back when he's about 6 years old. It's on VHS tape. I probably have to find it, but it's just he grew up. It's just wow, this is the kid that I do.
That is absolutely epic, man. Absolutely epic. Jenny,
What about Jenny?
You're not talking about Jenny.
Alive.
Tell us some horror stuff before we move on to our big segment. Talk horror with us, man. Anything you want.
Yeah, whenever I was a kid, it was probably not the best idea, but we watched the horror movies with our parents, and I loved it. I loved all the things, and that's why I'm looking forward to this movie that is coming up on Tomb. That's one of the ones I probably watched way too many times.
Dead Alive?
Because yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just
My
thought
mom
that
still
was
calls
so
it that rat monkey movie. Randomly in conversation, have you seen that rat monkey movie lately? Remember when we used to watch that all the time, and we destroyed that whole VHS tape because we watched it too much? I'm like, yes, Mom. I remember Dead
And the
Alive.
funny thing is the rat monkey doesn't even appear but once.
But it was so prolific to my mother that movie became the rat monkey movie and will always be the rat monkey movie. She'll never remember the title, just the rat monkey.
Yeah, my mom was definitely tired of that movie and Ren and Stimpy. She hated both, but she's like, damn it, Jenny. Well, damn it, Jennifer, because she never called me Jenny. But yeah, Jason, Freddy. Okay, everybody hates Freddy, but he's definitely one of my top favorites.
Oh, who hates Freddy?
Who hates Freddy?
No one that I know hates Freddy.
No, everybody okay, if they had to pick of the top 3 in our household are of course, Jason, Michael, Freddy, and my mother-in-law and her sons are not the top fans of his. But of course, we got Jason and Michael that you've seen or met one of them. But
all of them. I've met all of them.
No, I mean of the boys you've met.
Oh, the boys. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, Michael. His first name's Joshua, but Michael, he comes on with us during Tomb, and then Jason, his brother, he's off doing whatever Jason does. But of course, that is how much that they love the horror movies. But I just loved so much him coming out of the bed and taking people, or all the dreamscape horror stuff.
Or Johnny Depp when he nabbed Johnny Depp. I love me some Freddy. Freddy is fun. Of the horror slasher characters, Freddy is terrifying, but knows when to make you laugh, just to hit you harder again right after you laugh. And a lot of the way I write actually was probably from the way I watched Freddy movies. That's kind of how I am. I hit you with something crazy, and then it's this really big joke that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just wrote that. That's so funny. And then you just use that to lull people into that false sense of security to totally fuck their world. And Freddy was fucking the best out of everyone at that. Child's Play was good at it in its own way.
I was gonna say, Chucky's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's just hard to take seriously at all.
Because he's a doll. But I love Chucky. Don't get me wrong. We'll talk a lot about Chucky too. Love Chucky. But the way Freddy did it was just,
baby.
oh yeah, it was so unique. And then they took that, and there was a lot of Native American culture, believe it or not, wrapped up with Freddy. And then you really see that side of the Native American culture when they did Nightmare, where you find out that people tell stories of terrible things to keep the essence or the spirit of those terrible things locked away. And if the story gets told too many times or forgotten, then that demon or that evil spirit from the story is released, and it often takes the form or shape or whatever the story was that contained it. So that movie was literally all about, Freddy was gone. They talked about bringing it back to, to make another one out of nowhere, and then suddenly the spirit's out of the story, and it took Freddy's.
Yeah, there are. I think Robert Englund even talked about this in some of the interviews that he's done, where the first Nightmare on Elm Street was scary and it was different for its time, and that's why it got to be as popular as it did. And the second one was good, not campy, but I don't think it was good.
I dislike it because the name of the main character. Not gonna lie, that's the only reason I don't like 2 is the main character's name is Jesse, and that pissed me off because I don't like my real name. That's the short version of it.
But then every movie after that, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, Freddy goes through this progression of where the movies start getting progressively campier, and they start relying a little bit more on the comedy and some of the fight tags.
Yeah,
and it's okay because the movies are still held together, throughout the main storyline.
And let's point out that 3 Dream Warriors is titled as one of the best horror films ever made.
Yeah, and it also had the killer Dokken or George Lynch, was it?
That was
the Dream Warrior song, the theme,
and they still played it every show they do to this day because it's one of it's still their most popular song.
Yeah, I think it was Dokken.
It was Dokken 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. But then when they came out with New Nightmare and tried to bring Freddy into real life with Heather Langenkamp and all of that, and actual Robert Englund playing himself, he talked about they wanted to try to get away from the campiness that Freddy had turned into and bring it back to the scary that Freddy had started at. And I think that they did a really good job with that.
They did, and 6 was like the biggest laugh comedy. 6 was just straight up a comedy horror.
Yeah, there are fan-made Nightmare on Elm Street movies out there. One I watched recently called Dylan's Nightmare.
Oh yeah, that was really good, man.
It's only like 30 or 40 minutes long, but yeah, it was really well done. And
they brought that actor back and everything.
Yeah. They had a whole Kickstarter campaign for it. It utilized some of the original actors from the movies. They did a really good job with it. So, non-horror Hound related, obviously, but if you get the opportunity,
yes and no, because the people that make those promote those at cons. Like, biggest Friday the 13th ever fan kind of ish, but had a production value was Never Hike Alone.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
So I've interviewed people from that one a couple times. There's 2 Never Hike Alones. There's also a music video and a couple other things that are all in that same universe that are involved with it all. They got some of the original stars to return to this project. And honestly, I've interviewed some people from there a couple different times, but like a lot of their stuff promotes the convention. So like fan films get heavily promoted at horror conventions. And I'm expecting to see at least a couple mentioned or getting up and going. I was in a Michael Myers one years ago as I was an extra that was at a school dance or something like that, and at an adult like school dance type thing. Like, so I wasn't like in the movie other than an extra, but like I like that kind of stuff. And I've thought about eventually, trying to do one myself, like, trying to get something going with that. So I had never done a fan film personally, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, stretching beyond Horror Hound is, for fans, people in the industry and all of that to support horror and the horror creators. So by extension of that, go watch Dylan's Nightmare, go watch Never Hike Alone, go support those indie filmmakers that are making these things and putting them out on YouTube. Go support their Kickstarter projects and all of that, because those are the kind of people that, they come to conventions like Horror Hound. They're looking for people to get involved in those kind of things.
And honestly, some of the things they come up with in their films elevate the stories. They elevate the lore. Like they take these projects that haven't had a new one or a good one in a long time, and they make you think about them again. And there have been cases in the past with the fan films that the original creators and people, again, they get some of the same stars once in a while, Like I know the guy that played Tommy Jarvis came back to play Tommy and Never Hike Alone. So like they also meet the filmmakers, and sometimes some of the new lore and stuff they create actually gets borrowed and used a little bit for future installments of their franchises. So
That's true.
There's a relationship there.
I think they did that with Halloween Ends or Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, because there were a couple of Michael Myers, Halloween fan films out there as well.
Yeah.
And then of course, then you see the resurgence of Halloween movies coming back.
And now they've announced they're working on a Halloween TV show. So yeah, I mean
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and we know the new Friday the 13th is going to premiere next year for sure. They're filming it this summer, so the TV show. That's been.
Well, I was always told that they planned on making 13 Friday the 13th movies, and like the last one in the actual series was Jason X. So of course, then every Friday the 13th movie after that has been kind of a re-envisioning or a remake, but it hasn't really progressed the storyline.
Yeah, technically, have they done 12 of them? If you count like 1 through 10, the remake and Freddy vs. Jason, technically 12 movies.
I don't know if Freddy vs. Jason actually counts in the sequence of the movies, and of course the remake is more along like the lines of the first movie. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
they count that
he's
as
appeared in X. He's appeared in 12 films. I would count. Honestly,
was that? Are you talking about the one with Padalecki from
Supernatural? Yeah, that was yeah. I mean, but there's been 12 movies about him, but I do actually count Freddy vs. Jason in the initial franchise because we know that Freddy and Jason exist in the same universe. We knew this well before. Like they're in the same fucking state. They're like a short drive. Their towns are a short drive from each other, for fuck's sake. So I would safely count that with the storyline and the way they did the movies, where we know that Jason gets dropped off out of outer space into Earth 2, and the same fucking location at Camp Crystal Lake. So I think there's not really even much of a stretch to say when he crashed, he was in a coma or whatever, and then he came out of it, whatever he's got to do because he's hunting in Camp Crystal Lake again. So the tie-in and the way they bring him into it. And the way they bring in Freddy, because everybody's forgotten about Freddy, and he's got to get people to remember again. I'd say it's safe to easily think that that's franchise material for Nightmare and for Friday. It's easy to make the jump.
My problem with ending it on Jason X is because that's supposed to have taken place like way in the future,
Yeah.
And Jason basically gets cyborged up by the end of the movie. This is not spoilers. The movie's been out forever. So if you haven't seen it, it's not my fault. Go watch it. It's not the greatest in the series, but it's amusing to watch for what they do to Jason overall. And then at the end of the movie, you see him fireballing through Earth's atmosphere, and they never actually show him landing, just that he's fireballing through the atmosphere. But now he's all armored up in his cybernetic, nanobite technology suit. Now he's a super killer.
There's a theory on this, though.
He wasn't bad before.
The nanotech actually repaired all the actual damage. It grabbed the metal and some things that were in the room to kind of finish it off. But the theory is, if you watch the movie towards the end, some of the metal parts are a little less prominent in his body. The theory is his flesh was actually rejecting and regenerating entirely, because we know that Jason regenerates also on his own given enough time. So supposedly the nanotechnology repaired a lot, and his body, it kicked in his own personal healing like up a notch. And he was losing bits of the metal because as his body was repairing itself more, it was rejecting the metal. And supposedly the rest of that happens on his descent, and it burns off, pretty much melts the rest of the metal as it's.
So you're saying that by the time he actually crash lands on Earth, he's back to being normal Jason.
That's the theory. And if you know the lore of Jason, once especially they went, supernatural with him, it makes sense. And he just wouldn't have the mask anymore. He'd have to have a different mask. And he could easily go back to an old mask, because why not?
I'm picturing.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Del.
I'm picturing I was thinking of the bog bodies for some reason, but when you said that he regenerates on his own, it's like everybody else goes to a spa. Jason goes and gets a mud bath and stuff. Jason just goes and lays down in a bog, and it's like a Lazarus pit for him. He's just like, oh, okay, now I'm back in life again. All right.
Well, that probably is. I mean, they established that Jason was killed off and then resurrected in, what was it, 4 or 5? So he's not technically alive, and now he's kind of like an agent of chaos and can more or less do whatever he wants.
When
I think he can really
underwater, and the lightning resurrected him from underwater.
Right.
That was when they really, truly, full on went paranormal Jason, and it was that way for the whole rest of the series.
So I think that it would be interesting, because I don't know if the one with Padalecki actually continues after Jason crash lands back on Earth.
We don't know about that one. I wouldn't say that one does, but
I would like to
definitely
see
say
what they do with it after he crash lands back on Earth from Jason
done.
X.
That's done entirely. Like we won't see any. We're not likely to see any of that revisited ever again, honestly, because of the right tie-ins and all the issues. But now they're going to do that TV show because a lot of the rights have been settled now. Even the game went under because of the rights. So we're hoping that now that the rights are being settled, more agreements can be reached, and we can actually get the new movie that there's several different studios. Blumhouse is actually chomping at the bit to officially do the Friday the 13th. And if anyone wins the bid for that, it's going to be Blumhouse. It most likely is going to be Blumhouse. And I'm fine with that. I really
So you think Sean Cunningham is out of it entirely, or what?
I don't think he'll ever be out of it entirely, to some degree, but I think rights will be easier to know percentages and paying people out correctly, which has been a lot of the tie-ups, and figuring out that if you even make this project, who gets the money for it. And the litigation alone has made that really hard, but now that a lot of that's settling, it's going to be easier to maneuver and figure it out where things go. And I want to welcome Amina to the show. Welcome.
Hi, Amina.
Hi.
Hi. Are you not slinging tacos tonight?
Not tonight.
Slinging tacos. I want tacos.
Whatever.
She slings pizza.
Yeah, that's
which is also
taco pizza. Sling pizza.
Well, I also DoorDash, so I do sling tacos too. So
yeah, technically, yeah. She slings them right into my mouth from a distance. The game we play.
Sling some my direction, man. My car's a bear.
You just reminded me. I have some Camarines Chipotle in my fridge. That.
Well, Amina, you came at a time that I know is one of your favorites because this is something we used to do a lot on Twisted Geekdom back many moons ago.
Oh Lord,
we have a wheel. We have a wheel for this.
Okay.
It is our versus. We're going to spend some time doing a number. I've got a lot of names in this list. We're not going to go through them all tonight, but we want to get a couple solid matchups going on to celebrate Horror Hound, just the horror world in general. So this list isn't far from being comprehensive. It was the first 20 horror, characters that just hit my brain immediately, and that I thought more people would know, because a lot of them I had to delete because I was like, oh, maybe I would be one of the only people that would put them on a list. So it's a generic list. And we're going to spin the wheel 2 times to find out who's fighting. That's how we'll do this.
Do you want me to be on Tubular Bells?
Sure,
yes,
yes, be on Tubular Bells.
Okay.
Make it fancy.
Okay.
And I think we'll actually have Michelle chiming in on text possibly on this one, because she wanted to be here on the show to help do this because she had done it with us in the past before as well. But she decided she didn't want to be on video. So.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready for me to spin?
Yeah.
Wheel of morality. Turn.
Contestant number 1 in the verses is The Thing from The Thing. That's very Simish.
Yeah, it is.
Final, sound effect.
Are we talking about The Thing from like the Kurt Russell movie where they were stationed in Antarctica?
The Thing.
Okay.
I knew the answer.
Which is also called The Thing.
Am I hiding it afterwards or leaving it?
You can hide
it. Hide it. Yeah, because he's not going to be in another. It's not going to be in another matchup.
Okay.
It's not like a round robin tournament. We just, we just discuss the strengths and weaknesses and kind of go there and try and get a consistency. You'll notice Pennywise and Xenomorph are on the list, and I seriously
did see it, and they're right next to each other, and I was like, "Oh, please!"
Yeah. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It did that.
I think we already talked about the Pennywise xenomorph.
Yes,
match
listen,
already.
but we'll never stop talking about it.
You will never
It's
stop.
mine and Amina's thing with the verses. It's like how Leprechaun and Chucky are mine and Michelle's thing. Like it's the verses are a big thing, man.
Okay. Next
So
one.
who's the thing's opponent?
Yeah.
Pazuzu almost made this list. Almost.
Mummy.
Mummy.
The Thing versus Mummy.
Oh.
Okay. This is our first matchup of the night. Wow. So the Mummy's undead. A completely undead, a resurrected pharaoh. And regardless of which version of the Mummy that you want to think about here, it's all the resurrected pharaoh. It just is.
Okay. So I kind of have to disagree there because Imhotep was not a pharaoh. In his version, he was a priest, and he was a priest that had the ability to use magic, and he could do it when he came back as the mummy too.
That is true. That is true. But in his mind, he was the pharaoh.
That is yeah. I mean, he was running.
he had the pharaoh complex. We'll call it.
Yeah.
Now, which mummy are we doing? Like Universal Monsters or?
So
I always think of the Brendan Fraser version or Scorpion King.
Okay, here's the thing, guys. It's all the same mummy.
Yeah.
You may forget this, but it's all the same mummy. All these things we're talking about are the same mummy.
Just retelling of the same character.
Yeah.
But it's technically the same character, and a lot of people would argue as it's the same power that brought the mummy back to life that is used in each of the mummies. So therefore, all the mummies are to some degree connected.
Yeah.
But they are all considered the universal mummy.
Michelle might have a point.
She has a really good
take over
point.
dead flesh. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the mummy does have the ability to, I mean, you see it in the Brendan Fraser iteration, to influence the living, like in mind control, blah, 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 blah.
True.
So, I mean, that's his ability to do that, even though he is undead, kind of does give him like a serious advantage over the thing.
Okay, so here's a question. The environment for the thing and the environment for the mummy are two different battlegrounds. Which one are we talking about?
They are, and we should discuss some kind of a neutral setup or something as well. Yeah, actually, technically, it is an Antarctic desert that it's cold. The only difference is actually the temperature, as far as the environments go.
So dead flesh zombies can't, like, they've done the scientific stuff on, like, if it's dead flesh, it's going to freeze. He's not going to be able to keep moving if it's in the Antarctic. So he's just he can't fight. He's just
and that's what we got to look at, because either of them have a very different advantage depending on what that situation is. So
but we also have to kind of take into consideration, is the mummy going into the fight fully regenerated? Because if so, he kind of doesn't fall in the normal dead flesh rules. When he regenerates, he's like a living person.
True.
But he's also powered by mystical forces, so I don't technically know if the cold would actually affect him as dead flesh.
I have to say no, probably not. Because it doesn't matter one way or another for him, and it won't actually give the thing in the environment like a big advantage here. Let's go Antarctica.
Yeah.
If it literally does not matter, we'll go with an Antarctic desert, honestly, because it's going to interact the same way with all his abilities technically, and it won't harm him to be in that environment. But the thing can't be in a warm environment. It wouldn't exist in a warm environment. It can't be in one.
Yeah.
Well,
so in order for the sake of the argument,
here's my question. We know from the movies, or I guess the lore, that the mummy or Imhotep was able to control beetles.
Yes.
Or scarabs. And he could
that would not
command
help in
them
this
and
situation.
will them to do what he wanted them to do. They would just appear basically out of nowhere. And he could also create sandstorms. So would he still be able to do that in an Antarctican environment? Like, I mean, there's no sand, but could he potentially create a sandstorm out of the ice and snow?
Well,
would say so. I
if
mean,
you take the Egyptian religion into consideration, um, their religion wasn't necessarily about the sand, it was more about the elements. So I
Mhm.
would have to say, yes, he made the great big sand wall and he did all this great stuff in the mummy, but I think even moving him into the Antarctic environment, because they were more element based, he
Mhm.
would still be able to manipulate the things there to his advantage.
Mhm. I fully
I
agree
could
with
see
that.
this
100%.
happening as a potential movie, actually, with someone trying to control the mummy or do away with him or bury him where he can't cause any more problems. They would actually take his casket to the Antarctic and try to bury it, and that's
Yeah.
where the Thing would come along, and then you would get this epic matchup. So I think that there's enough room for a backstory here to make this happen.
Here's your issues, and I see what Michelle had said about the Thing can't take over dead flesh. Mummy kind of wins by technicality, so he can't take over. He can't take over dead flesh. But I completely disagree that the Mummy automatically wins on technicality, and here is why: those elemental attacks with the cold mean nothing to the Thing. It will literally do nothing. It will literally walk right through that ice, right through that wind, right through that snow, and not remotely be affected by it. Two,
Because
can't
it's
use
its
beetles.
natural environment.
Exactly, and that's just what it is. It's one of the elder things from the Cthulhu mythos. That is what the Thing is. It's an elder thing. So then you got to go into the lore of what an elder thing is and does. These things live in the goddamn ice. They don't care about the cold. They don't care about the ice. Just like it doesn't care about the cold and ice. It's gonna walk right through it. Those things mean nothing. It'll walk through
Could the
gale
beetles
force and
consume
winds.
it? Could the
No,
scarabs consume it?
because the Thing completely absorbs all biomass, all of it. It touches it, it's absorbed. So Mummy using its beetles or any other equivalent insect or creature just gets absorbed by the Thing, which makes it bigger and more powerful
Now,
immediately.
see, here's where I say this whole versus scenario is based on what happens, because if the mummy is fully regenerated and goes there regenerated, he's got the advantage. However,
He does. He is. Let's
however,
make him regenerated.
if
Let's
his
full strength.
sarcophagus is moved there by living people trying to bury the secret, and now you have mortals on the playing field between the two of them, it
And there's
becomes
going to
a
be.
battle of who gets there first.
I would think the Thing would take over the mortals and use it to
could.
fight the mummy.
But that's going to be hard to do for the Thing in this instance because the mummy's ability to read minds and mind control. Period. So if the Thing is pretending to be someone, the mummy's going to know immediately. Just so not only is the mummy not able to use it's like the storm stuff and the beetles, the Thing's ability to become someone is not going to help it get close to the mummy to do anything. Now, can it do that to fuck up with some of the things that the mummy control, the people that mummy controls, and make things just a nuisance and a little bit more difficult? Sure, but when directly in the mummy's presence, the mummy's going to know.
As an elder being, however, and in the location that it's at, it could probably call out Ia Ia Ithaquah and have a super Wendigo coming over on its side.
That is true.
Or
That's
for it
something
to
the mummy,
happen to.
and that's something the mummy, even at its height, could not mind control.
Yeah.
That is a mindless thing. That cannot. Their mindless things cannot be mind controlled. That's known fact right there. Like
and it can be possessed, and it has awesome powers.
It does have awesome powers.
So
a lot of the mummy's magic will also be nullified because elder things. You're basically throwing you're throwing magic at a brick wall, at an anti-magic brick wall in a lot of ways. And there's some things the mummy's going to be able to do that will hopefully potentially be able to affect it for sure. I definitely to be able to damage it. Like he'll be able to damage the Thing for sure. But we know that the Thing can just grab a person nearby or an animal and just immediately regenerate as well. So while the mummy can endlessly regenerate, as long as there's biomass of any kind, and that's not as hard to find in the Arctic as you would think it is, then he's going to be the Thing can regenerate just as easily.
So then can either one of them really be killed, or would it just be this endless cycle of one or the other of them regenerating and then the battle keeps continuing?
So I'm talking up The Thing a lot because I love The Thing. That's my birth movie. Came out in 1982, the year I was born. It's one of my favorites of all time. One of my favorite creature movies. It is my favorite creature movie of all time. Um, Here's my thoughts on this, man. If there's one thing ancient Egyptian magic teaches you, it's how to seal something away. And the only known way to beat an elder thing is to seal it with what it considers alien magic and bury it under the ice.
No harm ever came from reading a book.
Yeah.
Just
exactly.
Well, I mean, we
So, like-
do know that Imhotep was incredibly intelligent. He was a very smart cookie.
Yeah. Yeah,
Only
that's kind of where I've talked myself out of The Thing because of logic, and you'll see me do this a lot. Like I would want The Thing to completely crush the mummy. I was on board, but the more we've thought about this, the more I realized that neither can kill the other. Just straight out, neither can actually kill the other. But Imhotep is smarter than The Thing. Elder things aren't known.
He
for their
would have
vast
containment
intelligence.
spells too. He would
That's
know
what I'm
how to
getting at.
seal it, and it would be a very long time before somebody could break the containment spell, especially in the Antarctic, where there's not many people.
It's more than just a spell, though. Like there's a lot of things that you need to seal an elder thing away. But here's the downside of sticking with Antarctica. That's where it was sealed away, and everything you need to seal it away is also still buried there under the ice.
And Imhotep potentially has access to Nyarlathotep's knowledge as someone who came out of Egypt, who would find it incredibly humorous to just fuck with the other gods that way.
Yeah, let's be really
especially the elder things. They kind of all hate the elder things.
And let's be really honest. Imhotep is a little bit
That's also true.
snarky. So I could see him using the initial thing to seal the thing away, and then just to be a dick, using stuff like was used on him just for an extra layer, and then take it back off across the globe and say,
and then add 50,000 curses so humans wouldn't unbury him again, which is how the elder thing got out in the first fucking place.
Yeah.
Yeah, mummy can teleport, thing cannot teleport.
Yeah.
Damn.
I would think it would be interesting because the Egyptians come with their own pedagogy of gods themselves, of which Imhotep would have knowledge of. I don't think it would be beyond the scope.
In this situation, though, every one of those gods is useless, except for Nyarlathotep. All of them are useless against the thing.
Are they though?
Are they?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
They would be elder beings themselves with
no,
their own
no.
powers.
Actually, if you look at what the Cthulhu mythos is, it predates all of that. It predates every man-made or man-known religion and their gods. Like this is the world before it existed, when it was everything was darkness. So like that's when these things were created. They are infinitely like even the weakest of the mythos gods is going to be stronger than any man pantheons. That's how it's set up.
Except for Grun, but he's kind of a fuck. So
yeah, that's true.
So who is invoking the Cthulhu mythos then?
John
You have
Carpenter.
to. Carpenter. The thing is involved. The thing is an elder thing from the Cthulhu mythos. So it's the Cthulhu mythos being.
Yeah.
So you don't think the Egyptian gods would stand a chance against the thing?
Oh fuck no! But one of the Egyptian gods happens to also be a mythos god, which is Nyarlathotep. So that would be the only Egyptian god that Imhotep could remotely get help from. And Nyarlathotep, like Del said, would find it absolutely humorous to help just to fuck with an elder thing, because why not? That's his whole. He loves fucking with shit.
Yeah, he's like a really, really, really evil Loki, but he likes good PR.
Yeah,
and so
Accurate.
Well, I could see the whole downside of this. To call upon an elder to deal with an elder is, even if you manage to contain one, you've already let loose another, and that would be a problem for the human race.
Oh well, not really, because Nyarlathotep really isn't away. He's
He hangs
around
out.
our one. Yeah, he's been out. So he would have
He-
already been out.
Yeah, he hangs out and listens to his dad every now and then as Thoth, but mostly he just walks around the world. Like Tesla was probably, if
Yeah, but
not
then you still have to deal with
entirely,
Imhotep once the thing is
no, he
contained
just
again.
he has a lot of connections with Egypt, so he'd probably just leave him alone when it was done, and let Imhotep fuck with the humans then, because you can't get a
Narwhal.
lot of humans up in the Antarctic or down there wherever, but you can have a lot of them there. So if it was like, oh, we contain the thing, then we get the mummy. Oh, he can just go, I can watch this and get some popcorn.
You get also more good PR for him because it's an Egyptian thing.
Narwhal is freaking Gabriel from Supernatural. Just
Which was also Loki.
yeah, which was also Loki.
Yep,
So
yeah.
let's just be really clear here.
It's the heat of the moment,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, he helps humans as long as in the end it's actually fucking them over.
So I think we're calling this one, guys. Imhotep the Mummy wins because he's smarter and he is able to use all the ritual tools that are there under the ice and some magic and help Narlatep to literally just re-encase the elder thing because they can't be destroyed anyway. But now hopefully humans will know not to, accidentally dig it back up again.
Okay, now I want to throw one last factor into this that I think we should do every now and then with these.
Okay.
What if you add Abbott and Costello to the mix?
Abbott and Costello win.
They
Here's
always
what's going to
win.
happen. They're going to make side jokes and they're going to stumble through the entire fucking thing. And then right at the end, right as the thing is being sealed away, they're going to accidentally read an incantation but get it wrong. And it's going to also somehow seal Imhotep up with the older thing under the ice.
Okay, Abbott and Costello
Nara's
are
gonna laugh his
against
ass off.
the mummy, so there you go.
And then they're all going to go out and get shawarma after.
Yeah.
Well, what if we change Abbott and Costello to something more contemporary, like Sam and Dean Winchester?
I can't.
Oh,
do anything
easy.
with Sam and
Sam
Dean.
dies during the whole exchange. Then Dean begs Narlatep to bring him back from the dead and makes a deal. And end of story. They're both alive. They survive it.
And then Sam
It's a-
comes back with no soul, and Castiel has to go get it again. Done.
Yeah, it's an endless cycle with the boys.
In other words, we've already told this story.
Yes.
Yeah, we have more or less. I mean, technically, all the gods did get involved in Supernatural, including gods from both Discworld and the Cthulhu mythos. So we've already had a lot of that in Supernatural to have all that, where it would actually kind of make sense in a really weird, fucked up way for them to be involved in this battle in some fucked up situation. So it's the equivalent to if you combine the Winchesters and Abbott and Costello, what you basically have is Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. That's what you're looking at.
All right, Bloomhouse, get in touch with us. We'll make this happen. Let's make this a movie.
But yeah, there we go, guys. The Mummy was our first winner, and we need to now go back to the wheel. These are just my favorite things to do that I haven't done in a while. Like we talked about the Pennywise versus Xenomorph thing not that long ago, but like to actually go do a couple of them it's fun, man, because everybody's got different perspectives. We'll fight over some of them, I'm sure, but yeah.
Okay.
And I'm
Problem is
actually
that some of these things I haven't seen the movies in so long, I can't remember like all of the powers and abilities that they have.
Feel free to
Like
ask.
Leprechaun, I haven't seen those movies in forever.
Oh, I know the powers of everyone listed, like by
You
sheer
would.
memorization.
And I don't have to do music because yours does music when you play it.
Okay.
Well, then we have the
I'm
Halloween
using
thing?
yours. I'm using the picker you gave me.
I know I turned the music off because it was too cheerful for me.
It does
So
music.
my
I think
settings are different.
I think it's funny in this situation
Okay,
for it to
alright.
be cheerful because we're talking about horror, so it's extra weird.
Play the Jeopardy theme.
Okay.
The game of life or unlife in this situation. All right, who we got for our first combatant? Oh, Pennywise! I swear to God, if it lands
Oh,
on
boy.
Xenomorph, I'm gonna shit myself. I'm gonna quit the show if it lands on Xenomorph.
Okay.
Rather than discuss it again, we'll just reference back to the previous episode that we did where we discussed it.
That makes me think of Xenomorph versus the Thing conversation could be cool at some point. Hold on. Oh my
You gotta
God!
be
Really?
kidding me.
Okay,
You gotta be kidding me.
No.
I quit.
No, we aren't doing this one.
Okay, guys,
We're not doing
don't
this
hide
one?
those. Yeah, don't hide those. Though, leave them. Here's why we're not going to do this one yet, because we literally just had this talk recently on the show. We need to give it at least like 3 or 4 months for more information to come out for us to use. But holy shit, just blast from the past, guys. From the past, I can't talk. The fact that it just tried to make us do it again was. If it also tries to make us do Leprechaun and Chucky again, I'm also going to shit myself. So.
Also, Raz and I debate that point like every couple of weeks. So it's like a
when we feel there's enough new information, we will just do it for you guys in general. Candyman, okay.
Candyman, okay.
Interesting. Okay. You know, it'd be cool to see him versus Pinhead, because that was almost a movie.
Dracula.
Okay.
Candyman versus Dracula?
That's an odd.
Okay. I would have never considered this for a team up in a million years. Or I mean, a versus, not a team up. This is kind of nuts. Real quick. So, Candyman is more or less a vengeful spirit / urban legend versus a Dracula who's a master vampire.
I mean, the invocation of Candyman is basically the same as Bloody Mary, where you stand in front of a mirror and say Candyman 5 times, right?
Yes. So in this setup, it can happen anywhere. It can even happen in Dracula's castle. It literally does not matter where the location is.
It's just
neither
wherever the
location
person invokes him, in front of a mirror, and that's it. Now, the curious thing is that Candyman is invoked by a mirror, but Dracula has no reflection. So obviously, Dracula could not be the one to invoke him.
No, that's not true. He can still invoke him in front of a mirror. He just can't see himself. That's all. He can still use a mirror to invoke him.
Well, that
Casting
would
a
make
reflection
it way more interesting
prohibit you.
for Dracula to be the one to invoke him to say, "I want to battle you."
He would have to. In this situation,
it'd have to be
Dracula
very-
in his castle would have to go to the bathroom one day and be like, you know what? I got nothing else to do. Candyman, 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 Candyman. That's what we're looking at happening right now. So
Sounds like he got bored and he decided, let's play.
yeah. And here's the weird thing about this. Over a period of time, this battle is not going to be fought in one little match. This is going to be like over a period of time. Candyman is just going to randomly show up. Like Dracula's going to be the supermarket for some reason. I don't know why he'd be the supermarket, but Dracula's going to be the supermarket getting his true blood, and all of a sudden, fucking Candyman's going to pop out of the cooler, out of the window, and they're going to have a little skirmish and destroy out the store, and then he's just going to disappear and come back later. Maybe next time, like Dracula's actually on the toilet for whatever reason, and Candyman just shows up. Like
I
he
don't
can
think
show up
Dracula
anywhere.
actually uses the bathroom, though.
I mean, I don't know his personal life. Do you?
So,
I don't know the
refresh
guy.
my memory real quick. Weaknesses with Candyman.
Candyman's weaknesses?
Yeah.
Attractive white women. I'm not wrong. Watch the movies. I'm literally not wrong. His entire origin.
What can he do besides pop around and then control bees?
You can't kill him because he's a vengeful spirit. He's
But
literally.
I don't think bees are going to have any effect on Dracula either.
No, but here's the thing. The swarm spell from D&D, which is the equivalent of what he can do with bees, he might not be able to necessarily hurt Dracula, but what he can do is completely limit his vision. Because that many bees surrounding your face and all over you, and they're not just on you.
Eat the bees.
Yeah. The bats
But
can.
Dracula has the ability to turn into mist and also rats and wolves. So
he does. But these armies of bees can combat the wolf. It can combat the bat, one bat or one wolf versus many bees. The mist, cool. The bees are going to be swarming all in and out of that mist, so that confuses the mist, and his ability to reshape gets slightly affected until he can get away from the bees long enough, to reshape. Because he still has the reshaping process, Dracula.
I just don't think that he would be affected by their stings, though.
No, not at all. Not at all. They would literally be what's considered a nuisance army to him.
Yeah.
But they would be a nuisance to fuck with his field of vision, to fuck with the bat, to fuck with the wolf, to disrupt the mist. Like, he would be basically using these bees to annoy the fuck out of Dracula to make all his shape-shifting and everything Just irritate.
Okay,
Wouldn't
so
stop it.
Doesn't Dracula also have the ability to control insects though?
Animals. I don't think insects, but I can check.
like
I'll
I
check.
think it really depends on the mythos for Dracula you're going with. 'Cause-
Movie.
Movie?
Yeah, movie. These are all going to be movie based.
But there's been like 300 Dracula movies.
The traditional all of Dracula: bats, wolves, rats, foxes, and moths. He cannot just do any bug. The only bug he can do is only a moth. Period.
Okay.
So he cannot control bees.
Bees.
Yeah, but if he could summon up an army of moths, then
he can't.
He would
He
mess
can-
with.
Can
He
he
would
have
mess
a
with the
can of bug
bees.
spray?
Okay,
So the weird thing is he can control small groups of things. Candyman can control more bees, way more bees than Dracula can control moths.
that
It's about
may
concentration.
be true. However, I'm going to tell you why I'm going with Dracula for this one. We have said, you have underlined the fact that this is a vengeful spirit. You have underlined that fact several times. Now, Dracula is undead. He's not alive, but he's not dead. The fact that Dracula is undead and can move through and function in the living world gives him a hell of a lot of better advantage over Candyman.
Candyman can also interact with the physical world and be anywhere.
Yes, but Dracula is technically a part of both, being the undead. He
But
walks
so is-
in the world of the living daily. He interacts daily. Like, he physically can change events in the world, whereas Candyman has to be invoked. If Candyman,
Yeah, but once Candyman is invoked, he's just
he
as
can-
physical and real as Dracula is, and
And
he would
also,
also be
we
considered
have
undead as
seen-
well because he did die before he became Candyman.
And in all the movies, once he's invoked, he can just walk around and interact with the living. He does, in fact, in all the movies, interact with the living. Not even people that just summoned him. He does this in all the movies.
I think Dracula has more of an advantage there because,
I mean, of course, he can do it all the time, not just when summoned, but still, all the stuff he can do, Candyman can do, as far as that
The
goes.
show made the comment that if Candyman's hook hits him in the right spot, he's as good as staked. But that, I guess, that would all depend on what is his hook made out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that she's not thinking about at the moment.
We know that based on
I'm looking it
Dracula
up right now.
lore, if you stake him in the heart, it doesn't necessarily kill him, but it can paralyze him, and you're supposed to cut off the head and then burn the body in order to actually kill it. So otherwise, if you don't go through that whole process, then Dracula will regenerate. The head will reconnect itself, and he will regenerate back to his normal self. That's just with wood, but we know that since silver is pure, he also technically does have an aversion to silver. It may not necessarily kill him, but it can make him sick, so it could slow him down. So it really depends on what Candyman's hook is made from. If it's iron, if it's like brass, then it's not silver. It's probably not going to have any effect on Dracula whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm double checking right now because what I have to do is look at the period in which he died, which is keep in mind he comes from slavery, and his initial story was he got his hand removed before a lot of the other things that happened to him, so he did actually have prosthetic. So now what I'm doing while we're discussing is I'm looking to see what was used at that time,
He
and
has also decapitated his victims before.
yes, he does decapitate his victims. Let's see.
I guess the real question is, would Candyman recognize Dracula as being a vampire?
I would have to assume.
Keep in mind, Candyman was human, and in the time in which he lived, vampire, folklore
Vampire
was
lore
common.
was a thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would assume he would know.
He would know what Dracula was. I mean, definitely when even the times he's
if
popped up
not
in
Dracula himself, some form of it, because again, vampires or something that are talked about across many cultures in many different ways. So we have to assume that he would have some working knowledge of it.
Oh, updated information. So at that time, the metal on hooks was plated. The interior core of those older prosthetic hooks had a core of wood and linen.
Hmm.
And they were encased in metal. So the core of Candyman's hook, if you go with traditionally what would have been the case, and they kind of did do that in the second movie, it would have had a core of wood. So that lends credence to the Michelle theory about if Candyman's hit Drex in the right spot, he could be staked. Now, it would have been also a metal alloy of what metals were more commonly available in that time in that region. Nickel, silver, and iron. It would have been an alloy of the three of those metals encasing the wood and the linen. So if you get the allergy to silver, which is a Dracula thing as well, a vampire
And the
thing,
wood.
it's like a minor irritating allergy.
So
And the
there's
wood.
a possibility that his hook would have some effect on Dracula. Even if it's minor, it would still affect him.
It could effectively stake him, yes. The only
Another
issue
thing
you
to
have
think
there
about
is because of the shape of the hook. I don't think it could directly all the way through the center of his heart completely stake him. I think he could do some serious damage that Dracula could not immediately regenerate because he cannot regenerate immediate damage to his heart the way it functions. It's over a long period of time, which can traditionally force a rest period on Dracula, like a stasis, to regenerate the damage to come back later. That is something that can happen if it's not properly staked all the way through.
Another thing to think about is that Candyman himself, once he's invoked, he doesn't necessarily need to feed. He doesn't need to eat or anything. He just is.
Not at all.
But Dracula does need to feed in order to keep his strength. Otherwise, he will start withering away, become much more gaunt and much more animalistic. But he does need to feed at some point. So if there were a way for Candyman to subdue him long enough to keep him from feeding, then it could turn the tide.
Remember,
or do you think that Dracula
does
would
not
revert
feed
to
off
more of
dead
his
blood?
animalistic
So, because Candyman's ability to travel is just tied into wherever the fuck Dracula is, what actually stops Candyman from every time Dracula is about to feed, showing up and killing the victim before he can feed? But also keep in mind that Dracula can go a long period of time in between feedings. So that may or may not matter that much.
He would just become more animalistic the longer he goes without feeding.
Basically. Now, if he went too long, he would be forced into slumber.
Yes.
The question is, if that's the case and he goes a long period without feeding, could he feed off Candyman?
No, because while Candyman can become physical, Candyman has no blood. There is no blood actually in Candyman's body. His interior is bees. That's it. And sometimes honey and honeycomb. But there is no actual sustaining blood inside of Candyman.
Now, does it depend on where he's at? Because there is apparently there are some really interesting bees in the Carpathian Mountains. And there's a huge amount of Romani beekeeping tradition that has gone on. And so there are special bees in Transylvania. Would if he was summoned there, would he be summoned from those bees?
He's not
native
summoned
bees to
from
the area? Well, would the bees that he uses be from the area that he's in or from the area that he originated in before?
Both. In fact, both we've seen. So
I would think Candyman, once he's invoked and he realizes that whole area is full of bees, he would make that, pretty quick.
And that's another thing to consider as well, because while honeybees are the bees that are inside of him and the bees he more commonly uses when he's in, America, he can in fact communicate with and control any bee in his area.
But these are honeybees. They're just crazy honeybees.
Right. I'm just saying, like
hornets.
Traditional honeybees you see in America are what's inside of him. That's what's a part of him. But he can control any bee. But honeybees are a little more specifically what he would bother with, because that's the whole honey thing. It's a part of his mythos, so and his creation. So it's way more likely that it would be a honeybee if we want to limit it to honeybees. But like you said, over there's some crazy fucking honeybees.
He controls an army of murder hornets.
Now, are the Romani on
Hornets
the
aren't bees.
side of their bees, or are they on the side of their lord?
And that's a good point. So in a lot of Dracula mythos, the Romani were only on the side of Dracula based out of fear and waiting to see who wins. The second, I truly, again, no, we're working on, like, beliefs and thoughts here, people, not facts so much all the time.
I think the
truly
Romani
believe
would have been happy to get rid of Dracula, so they'd probably be on
Yeah.
the side of Candyman.
Yeah, and knowing that Candyman's gone the second he handles Dracula, so not only will Dracula be gone, but they won't have another big bad they got to worry about. I gotta say, they would most certainly lend any bees or any help, I think, at that point to Candyman.
So that could be the premise, is that
Mhm.
Dracula doesn't summon him, but they summon him against Dracula? Or is it whoever
No,
summons him?
Dracula would have to summon him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would have to be Dracula. While he can interact with people on levels that didn't summon him, and he does, his vengeance is geared towards directly the person that summoned him. So yeah,
Okay.
Dracula does have to do the summoning, because I think Dracula's full enough of himself that he would do this. Yeah, that's a potential. They could, during this thing, say, will you lend us some extra help and kill Dracula if we cure your curse? Because they would potentially have, with a specific curse that's laid on Candyman, Mermani and Romani, there's a good chance they might actually be able to cure his curse. So if they do that, and we're working for Dracula, they switch to that side, they could cure the curse where they were fighting, and Dracula could get an upper hand in that case, because he'd be human again.
Well, then
But
my question would be...
But would they? I don't think so.
My question would be, what does Dracula stand to gain from fighting Candyman? Why would he want to invoke him in the first place?
Really? Pride?
Boredom?
He's got to be the biggest bad and the master, behind every plan. Like, Dracula's fucking full of himself entirely. Right.
Well,
But
I think
Dracula's
this might actually go along with the whole Freddy versus Jason thing, because Freddy wanted to kill the kids in Springfield, and it turned out that Jason got to kill him before he had the opportunity, and so he was mad at Jason for taking his kills. So I mean, it could be kind of the same thing for Dracula versus Candyman.
The difference is, like, to get Freddy in the physical world, you have to go through everything to pull him out of the dream. With Candyman, the second you summon him, he's already real world. And he doesn't stop being real world until it's over. He can poof and appear and teleport and all kinds of crazy shit. So can, in some ways, Dracula can. But Candyman can actually move faster than Dracula. The way his, supernatural movement works, he can literally outmove Dracula, which is nuts, because you think about vampires and all the movies and all the stories, Dracula or not, you got to run across the room, he's in front of you. You turn around, he's in front of you. Imagine that times 10. So while Dracula's doing it to you, Candyman's doing it to Dracula, but faster.
And so the only protection that Dracula has are his brides, because they're a bunch of crazy hot white women.
And let's talk about sunlight. There's also nothing stopping Candyman from literally opening up a room, busting a wall open, letting sunlight in, which is a trick used from vampires in every vampire lore in the history of time. Anything you've seen a human do to fuck up Dracula, Candyman can do it without getting hurt or without getting hit.
So the urban myth beats the undead.
And again, the only way this is reversed is if the Romani take the side of Dracula over Candyman. That's the only instance. We've got multiple ways that Candyman can win, and only one unique, really specific thing that Dracula could use. That we agreed that
don't see
probably wouldn't happen.
The Romani taking Dracula's side, of course,
At all.
unless they are thralls to him, with the belief that Dracula will turn them into vampires as well, because that was the only way that they really served him.
Well, their magics prevent him from becoming thralls in the first place.
There's Renfield running around trying to step on bees or eat them.
Yeah, he'd get Renfield to step on bees.
So
Renfield would, and they'd skin the fuck out of him. But yeah, I think weirdly, Candyman turns out to be very equipped to be a vampire hunter, a Dracula hunter at this point.
Not expecting that.
I was not either, not remotely. I
So
came into this on no one's
Dracula,
side.
my friend over here, looks like your days are numbered. If just whatever you do, don't invoke Candyman. That's all I got to say.
Yep.
You know?
You'll be fine as long as you don't do that. Apparently.
Yep.
Fucking crazy. All right.
We're all kind of in agreement on this one. That Candyman's probably got this round.
We talked a lot of circles in both these, but I don't think like any of us have fundamentally disagreed with each other on the outcomes. Like these have been pretty crazy outcomes, man.
Totally expected that.
You
Michelle
would.
called it right from the beginning, I think.
She's sitting on the bed over here next to me. She's just typing away. It's awesome. And she's listening to the headset so she can, be up to date on the blow by blow. But yeah, we definitely have time to do one more. Get the wheel going. Jenny, we need more input.
I think Jenny froze.
What?
Oh,
Jenny's
she's
here. What do you want
You haven't
input
been talking
on?
much.
The battles, man. Like you're the only one that you're just. We need you to talk, Jenny. We got to hear your voice once in a while. Your enchanting voice to bring us back to reality.
Yeah, one of those attractive white women that Candyman would be drawn to.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that one. I appreciate. It's the first time I ever have actually been told that. The last time I was told I was going to be eaten by Dracula after he tore me apart. That was fun.
Dracula only goes for attractive women. Also, just saying that. That's what Dracula does. That's his.
Yeah, that's
MO.
true. That is kind of his modus operandi.
Yeah. So I know you're good. You're solid here.
Okay. Whereas
Either way, somebody wants to bite you. All right.
Okay, now you put in the verses I want to see. Alucard, which is Dracula, from the Helsing anime against Candyman. Because in my head, seeing him release all the things and then them just having to fight, I want to see that version. Because with the anime, you get to see him change into all types of horrific creatures.
I've not seen it, but you've told me about. Yeah, I mean, well, here's what happens. He changes in all these things. The beasts harass him, but then Candyman finds out that his father was a demon, and he's now half demon because that's how 90% of all fucking animes are. So now you've got demon Candyman versus Alucard, and then just demon Candyman wins because his father was a demon.
So it'd still be a fun fight to see.
It'd be way more
Especially
epic
when you have
visually.
the anime version versus what you get from what we got from the last.
But then I
few
can't
movies.
watch it because there's a demon in it. So you guys will have to just describe it to me later.
But there weren't demons in the actual Helsing show. So
Oh, I know, but there is now because there's the Candyman crossover. Then we just have to go full on trope and just it's a thing.
Yeah, but I don't.
His father was a honey demon.
That is. Winnie the Pooh the demon. Yes.
The true
Black
blood and
honey.
honey.
And no,
I swear to God, in Blood and
Whipped
Honey
Cream
2, if
Express.
Candyman doesn't make an appearance, I'm going to be pissed.
Wow. That sounds like fun.
Blood and Honey 2, Candyman's Revenge.
No, I think they'll bring in Tigger.
He'll ride on Tigger. Like Del's character rode that flying sword.
Yes, that'd be fun.
Who we got? And that should actually say Frankenstein's monster. I was lazy.
We keep getting the old school Universal monsters and then like a new thing, so we'll have to see.
It's Frankenstein.
But yeah, it is Frankenstein's monster.
Didn't Frankenstein's monster name himself Adam? Ugh.
Yes, he did.
Okay, Leprechaun wins. This is over. This is slam dunk Leprechaun. I'm not. It's funny, but I'm being dead fucking serious about this. Like, this is a no contest situation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk you through as to why. One,
please do.
Frankenstein's still, in all essence, a human being. A collection of human beings with super strength, sure, but he's mindless, and he's just a killing machine. But with a conscience and all kinds of other mental things going on. Leprechaun don't give a fuck, okay? He's magic. He can teleport. He can be anywhere. He can rip you in pieces. He can turn you to confetti. And we all know what Frankenstein would wish for. To be a human. to be a normal human. Read Frankenstein. That's what he would wish for. He becomes a regular human. Then he loses everything.
I don't think he'd feel bad. I think he'd
No.
be happy. Like,
Yeah.
oh, thank God I can die. Jesus.
Yeah. So
You say that he would wish to be human, but is that the case? Because in the original Frankenstein, he
Yeah, sure,
wanted a
Frankenstein.
mate. He didn't care about being human. He wanted a mate that was like him.
No. So yes, he did want the mate to be like someone like him, but that was stemmed over the sheer amount of loneliness because there was nothing like him, because he was like nothing else, and all he wanted was to be like everything else. But since he couldn't be, he wanted a mate that was like him.
So you think that his base wish would be to be human rather than have a mate? Because if he was human, he could probably get a mate.
Yep, exactly. He only wanted the mate because of his loneliness that stemmed from not being like everyone else. So he's gonna want to be human. If he could, and we know he can talk to some degree. Like a lot of things have showed him talking to some degree. He can get out enough syllables for Leprechaun to.
He's
do that.
actually very well read in the book.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
You know,
but that's the book, not the
I
movies.
can't exactly see that there would be any kind of fight going on here.
There's not. I don't think there's a fight at all.
If Adam, I'm gonna call him Adam.
That's
if
fine.
Adam makes a wish to be human, and let's say that Leprechaun grants it. All right. So now Frankenstein's monster, Adam, is now human. Why would Leprechaun even want to fight him? You know,
He
there's
wouldn't
no more
necessarily.
battle.
But if he did, it's because Adam went human, to use the name Adam we're using here. That would be because he also fell into all the human trappings like greed and decided to take some of Leprechaun's gold. That would be the only possible way that there would actually end up being a battle after that.
Yeah, I don't see Adam doing that right off the bat. I think he would have to be human
either.
for a while before I think he would really get the concept of greed and want the Leprechaun's gold.
Because as long as his intelligence stays intact at the degree it is, I don't think he would. So I think this is not a fight that would happen. I think Frankenstein would get his wish granted, and Leprechaun would be like, "Oh, okay, bye."
Yeah, like what's the point?
He just goes, smoke a bong in the hood, and chill out.
Go back to the hood, yo.
So yeah, I
don't
think
really see a fight happening on this one, and just the simple fact that Frankenstein doesn't really have anything that can combat anything the Leprechaun would throw at him. It's just
nothing.
like.
So if there was a fight for any reason, Leprechaun wins. There's just nothing Frankenstein can do, but everything leads to this fight not actually happening, and Frankenstein finally getting to be a real boy. So yeah, I guess we got to do one more wheel spin because that was solved in like 3 minutes.
And the bad thing is what my brain did. What does Harry Potter, Leprechaun, and Twilight all have in common?
What?
Cedric Diggory was in Twilight, and of course, the Leprechaun became a teacher.
Yep, that's true. That's true. He did play two characters. He played a goblin, and he played a teacher.
Yes, it's like the weird stuff my brain comes up with.
It's
and Daniel Radcliffe.
What's his name?
Tied into Frankenstein.
Willow
played Igor.
Yeah.
No, I can't think of the actor's name.
Oh, my boy. I could have done this.
Sure?
I guess, but I could have done this for Frankie, but to better illustrate, I'll bring it up when we're up.
Creature.
Oh my God, the creature versus Art the Clown.
Art the Clown?
I don't know anything about Art the Clown. So.
I got you, don't worry. Chris, we got the creature.
Which creature are we referring to?
This creature.
From the Black
Lagoon.
Okay, creature from
the
Black
Lagoon.
Lagoon.
His name is the creature. Oh. Whose name is the creature.
Okay, yeah.
And they will be releasing a comic with him in it soon.
Yes. So, for all intents and purposes, the creature's human as far as how it can be killed. To be honest, creature can breathe underwater. There's a lot of cool things about the creature, but you can kill the creature. You can totally kill the creature. Art is a human being. You can totally kill Art. So we're working right here on the basis that neither of them are technically actually supernatural. Neither of them.
Well, are we talking about the art from the first movie or art from the second? Because in the second movie, art was totally not human. I mean, human in appearance, but I think he came back from the dead, so he's supernatural.
I'm double checking a couple things really quick. Okay, no, yeah, you're right. You're right. He's considered an evil entity and does have some minor supernatural ability. So you're right. So in terms of that, but he can still be killed though.
Well, if you just settle with art from the first movie or the what was it? The All Hallows Eve movies when he was just the serial killer around town.
Yeah, he was just a serial killer that one,
or
and also
Terrifier
in
1,
the first.
not Terrifier 2. If you don't bring in the second movie, then yeah, he's still human and it can be killed under normal human circumstances.
But we gotta go with giving him his abilities that we have to, because we did that with Jason.
All right.
In the conversation earlier that we had that was in the verses.
So now we have
should
an
probably
unkillable.
consider the
We have
franchise.
almost unkillable evil entity versus a creature that just wants to be left alone.
Yeah, here's the thing. We're gonna have to do the wheel again, because here's why. This is over. Art wins. The creature is my favorite thing in the goddamn world, but Art is gonna gut him. Listen, if he can split a girl from vagina down, he can gut the creature.
This is another one of those
I hate creature losing.
things.
This fundamentally destroys me inside, but this is a no contest.
Like, how is it that we've gotten a universal monster, classic monster, every single time?
I don't know. It's so weird. We're almost out of the ones on the. We're almost out. You know what? What Universal monsters are left? Let's just spin the wheel and choose whatever Universal monsters left over.
Is pretty much the only one left.
Yeah, let's just
I just don't see that the creature would have anything that he could defeat Art with.
He couldn't even drown him because that wouldn't work. He's got nothing on this. I hate that, man, but we got to go with what happens, you know. Pinhead. This is not looking good for the Universal monsters. Oh, we actually had 2 Universal monsters left, by the way.
Oh, who did I forget?
Invisible Man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what are we going with now?
The Tall Man.
The Tall Man and Pinhead. Those are both relatively similar characters when you think about it.
No, they are nothing like each other.
Well, Tall Man is extra dimensional.
1 second. Tall Man is from Phantasm.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the main villain in Phantasm. And if I'm being honest with you, this is actually a really good matchup. They are both extra dimensional, and he's right about that. That's their only similarity here. This is tough, actually, because they
Tall
also
Man
both
has the little Jawa looking things that help him out, and he's got the little metal spiky ball that.
Those are human beings, by the way. The Jawa people. They are actually
they were transformed by whatever. Yeah. So it's the little Jawa looking things basically fighting the Cenobites.
Yeah,
so
they both have
under the gash. If you,
yeah, they both have armies that they can call up.
But you see, this is what fucks me up. So I've played the Cenobite in Dead by Daylight, so I'm a little bit partial to saying it's gonna win.
Oh, and me and Dell are all Cenobite all the time.
Oh yeah. I also had the pleasure of role playing with one of the best, probably Cenobite characters you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
So I mean, just the sheer amount of deliberation. Everything is deliberate with a Cenobite. There is no influence of they feel slighted or emotion or anything like that. It is
all about order.
Doing this to reach this pinnacle, this goal.
Yeah.
This. And in that, I think it makes the Cenobite just the most lethal of anything, because a Cenobite is not going to. The beauty about Cenobites is they are so deliberate in their methodology, and in trying to achieve their goal, they will literally do become the definition of insanity. They will continue to do the same thing again and again and again and again until they get the result they want. It doesn't matter if it takes 1 year or 1,000 years. They will continue to do it.
Right.
Well, Michelle asked, what's the motivation for this fight? And I think that this is a curious question because, one, the Cenobites aren't necessarily about death. They're about pleasure. So they're not outwardly looking to try to kill you as they are trying to convert you in some way. The tall man is more about death. And
he's also trying to convert you in some way. His entire purpose is to convert you. Well,
Cenobites are usually all about order.
Let me lay
they
out.
take things to the extreme for pain, pleasure, or whatever. But their main focus is keeping everything in order, which is why they go so far against the Midian monsters, because they're chaos.
Yeah.
If
you guys can give me just a minute to actually answer the question that was asked. Here's the setup. Number one, Tall Man is the only horror character to ever actually conquer mankind. He did it. From beginning to end, he started with every small town in America and moved until all of America and pretty much every province in the world was pretty much a shithole. Nothing left except for like scattered survivors that are all crazy and murder each other, and took over pretty much everything throughout the course of the franchise.
Yeah, that was shown in the last Phantasm movie when
by the time you get to Ravager,
kind of the apocalypse that the world has become.
Yeah, and this started as early as 2. That started in 2 and went all the way to Ravager. The whole world is an apocalypse, and it's all because of the Tall Man. He did it. So you've got the same setup of order versus chaos, because literally Tall Man is a weird combination of both, but he's way heavier on the chaos side than he is the order side because of the whole apocalypse thing. So now Tall Man has conquered mankind. He has conquered the realm of man. He needs a new realm to conquer because that is what Tall Man is, and that is what he does. He conquers. He takes. He converts every living thing, and he can also convert non-living things, by the way, because he's done it. He converts things to his army to become his. Through this process where he embalms them, as per usual, he puts them in a tube. This tube is then sent to a different dimension where over time the tube shrinks and collapses, whereas you get those Jawa-looking things. That's what comes out of the tube when the process is over and it is now converted, and it is part of Tall Man's army. It's not even that long of a conversion process. It can happen instantaneously, as we find out from later Phantasm movies, because in that other dimension, time works differently than our dimension. So he finds the box, probably hunts the box down. First of all, they're both dimension films, so same franchise closeness. He's gonna be able to know that the box exists, finds it, and if he thinks for a second, and he's full of himself, he doesn't have like pride, or he's not so much full of himself. He knows that he is the end of all things. He knows it. It's ingrained in every fiber of his being, because of back when he was a scientist, when he created this machine that turned him into this in the first damn place, he became the end of all things. So he's convinced he's the end of all things. It's not pride. He's proving it. So he's going to find the box. He's going to solve it, summon the Cenobites, which gives him an end to their world. So
that would be his motivation, basically, is that he's already conquered everything else. The realm of the Cenobites is yet another dimension he hasn't been to yet, and he thinks that he can take over that dimension as well, and the Cenobites are the only thing standing in his way of doing so.
More importantly, the Cenobite universe is the one universe that, if you really stop and look and think about, that is the connecting point to pretty much all other universes in a lot of ways. Yeah. So if he can get there and take that over,
he could jump everywhere else.
Right. So this is his motivation. And the motivation on the Cenobite side is, first step one, he solved the box. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What if Tall Man is, in fact, the original toy maker? The one that actually made the box?
But he's not, because we know who the original toy maker is. That would be Bloodline solved that and showed the creation of the box. So we already know. Yeah.
So, truthfully, I think the Cenobites would convert the Tall Man. I'm just saying.
Also, she showed up her box. I got to pull my box out.
I think if the Tall Man were to enter that universe. The thing about Cenobites is, again, it's that determinate action. You know, they are very deliberate. They are very it's like the long game in chess with a Cenobite. But the thing is a Cenobite, they know how to turn their audience. They know how to sway them. So
I don't have the puzzle version. Mine's just a model because I'm poor.
I truly believe
He and the
that
toy maker work together.
if the tall man were to enter the Cenobite realm, they would end up converting him because he did not start out as what he is. He became that. And in becoming what he became, in becoming the tall man, he kind of went a little bit loopy. Like his brain.
No, it happened instantly. It happened instantly because of the machine and time travel.
Yeah. So
he was a sweet old man. He was actually a very sweet old man when he did that to himself on accident.
Here's a better question. What if the tall man was the original prototype for the Cenobites?
It can't be. That's not possible.
Why?
Because the original technically, it would take days for Adele and I to go through all this lore with you guys. Like there's so much Cenobite lore, even film Cenobite lore. If we step off film and go really, really, really hardcore back, you're going way back farther than Penn. You're going back to like biblical times. You're going back to like fucking Judas Iscariot becoming Agonistes. Like you're fucking with some pretty crazy ancient shit. There is no way possible that the tall man could have been a prototype of any kind, because his type of dimensional influx and what happened to him had nothing. That dimension had nothing to do whatsoever with
Leviathan wouldn't have created anything like that, nor let it go.
No,
couldn't have been created in his realm.
But I want to say,
been destroyed immediately.
This is interesting. Here's why I say this is interesting. Michelle says, "Are he and the Toymaker work together?" It's in the Tall Man and Toymaker could work together. Here's where this gets super interesting. First of all, Tall Man was an inventor. Even as the supernatural being he is, he's an inventor. One of the things about him is his intelligence. He uses tools and uses things that he knows can best and most efficiently get the job done. Whether it being torturing you with the face of a loved one, a device, a tool, he will find it and exploit it, find your fear, and use it against you exponentially.
Well,
in that way,
sets up our premise.
Easily travel time and dimension, which he can do, and work with a Toymaker in the past if he felt that it would give him the advantage in the future.
Well, I'm thinking maybe that sets up our premise. You know, we know that the Tall Man was an inventor, you know, and made the machine that turned him into what he is. But if the Toymaker was a contemporary of the Tall Man at the time before he became the Tall Man, he would have known about the development of the box. He might have completed his
we know those timelines
before the box was ready. So
and the dates don't match up at all. That's the thing. If you actually watch both franchises, it gives you dates to know when the box was created. The date when he traveled and became the Tall Man came what he became. So during their time periods were off. That could only be accomplished in time travel, which the Tall Man wouldn't even think to do until he realized he was going to have to fight the Cenobites, and that's when he would have initiated that, like way after the fact.
Although technically you don't need to open a Lamarchian puzzle box to get to the Hell Dimension.
True.
You just have to have enough focus, obsession, and desperation and solve some form of puzzle. It could be a fucking crossword puzzle. It could be a maze. It could be they've done a lot of weird shit in the comics with
true.
People doing strange stuff. So that the time period, he doesn't even have to have the box. He could just want it bad enough and that it would throw something his way, and if he could get through it, he would be brought there. But again, then he faces Cenobites don't have fear. They don't have
So the only reason that he would team up with the Toymaker is to entrap them.
So the Tall Man would have already been able to time travel before he met the Toymaker.
No. I mean, well, here's the thing. Toymaker, that happened well before. That all happened well before. Not well before, but it did happen before the Tall Man was born. Like the original human version of himself, that all was done and resolved, and the box already existed and everything before the Tall Man was born.
So would he have traveled back to that time, and that's how he would know that the box existed?
No, I mean he's again a being of extreme intelligence and paranormal, all kinds of shit. Can't be killed. Only has one known weakness, period, and that's cold. And that doesn't even kill him; it just pisses him off and wards him off for a little bit. But he's undead. He's literally, his body inside is just embalming fluid. It's not he's got no inside. He doesn't even have organs.
The surgeon would probably have fun with him.
I think he would have a lot of fun. I think they would have a lot of fun with each other. But the thing is, like, the Tall Man's personality, he has to go with what he knows is going to give him the most resistance, and that's the thing he's got to conquer before he can move on. We see this in the movies because every time anyone gives him resistance, he stops his plans and he stops what he's doing and focuses on that until it's handled, and then goes back about his business.
He's a little OCD.
Oh, it will vary when it comes to that. So he knows that if he's going to go into that world, he's got to take care of the top dogs. And in this instance, we're just saying I personally believe there's a lot more badass Cenobites than Pinhead, although I love Pinhead. But I think for the purposes of what we're doing here, he believes Pinhead's the top dog.
Well, he is a favorite son.
He is. Yeah, he is. So he's going to go after what in his mind is that top general, that top point of resistance, and go right at him.
We talked a lot about how we get to the fight, but we haven't really talked much about what happens during the fight.
Yep. All the background has been laid out now at this point.
Well, now, as Pinhead is the favored son, I would say all of the different orders are falling under his general.
I would agree.
And they would pretty much do the best they could after seeing what they had up against to just turn him into a Cenobite.
Yes.
They aren't going to throw him in a room and just torture him for a while. They're going to do everything to just chain trap him, get him to the surgeon, and wreak havoc and pull things apart and put him back together again until he is one of them.
Here's my question to you. How many Cenobites would you roughly estimate exist in that dimension? Just a super rough estimation. Are we talking billions?
Well, it's the entire, it is all of hell under Leviathan. So we see, like in the comics, we only go through like 4 or 5 different orders, but they show, the hordes sitting in the backgrounds at times. So
because you're looking at an absolute minimum
swarm thing.
You're looking at an absolute minimum of about 7.8 billion minions at the hands of the Tall Man, and that's a minimum. It could be a couple billion.
Well, they can just
that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay, do they live?
Does that matter?
Because, is there room for them to even all come in?
Yeah,
are they going to be crawling all over him? Because
he has the ability to open up a dimensional gate that they would just endlessly come out of.
Okay, well, they can. Most of that can be handled by their. Unless they can take a chain through the head and keep on going. And there's more than just the chain abilities, but there's
you can temporarily
Cenobites with guns. There are Cenobites with all sorts of different kinds of weaponry and things that can take out any regular living being that's not immortal.
So we've got millions of Jawa versus millions of Cenobites.
So you need to know what the Jawa, that's what we're calling the Jawas, can do. Okay, they are also undead. First of all, they are undead. They can be stopped. You can completely destroy one. It can't just magically knit itself together. Putting a chain through its head is not going to stop it. It doesn't need its brain to soldier on. But they're very capable of ripping them apart easily. We know the Cenobites can rip them to pieces. If they're ripped to pieces, they're done. They would be then not active.
If they converted him, though, if the Cenobites are smart enough to be like, fuck the Jawas, clear a path through them, you minor Cenobites or other little minions of hell. We just need to wrap that guy up and get him out of the way. Once he's done and he's no longer controlling them, what happens then?
Okay, so now you're saying
get him out of the way.
Now you're initiating Army 2, which is double to triple in size of the initial army.
But what happens are they still trying to do something?
Yes, and this
They
is the
still
secondary army.
see.
The
I don't
secondary
know
army,
anything about this army,
yeah,
so
I'm telling you now. The
yeah.
secondary army is floating spheres, yay big, that have saw blades, drills, you name an instrument of death attached to it directly. They fly through the air, and the only way to stop them is literally to just obliterate the sphere. And metal doesn't work. You can shoot it and it'll fuck it up and it'll knock it down for a second, but then it'll pop right back up. You have to literally crush them, like crush the spheres to get them to stop. And for every one of the Jawa things, there's 2 or 3 of the spheres.
Okay.
They are
So
flying in spheres of death, basically.
okay, and the Cenobite's ability to close the doors to hell, does that affect them
No,
at all?
no, because this is an ancient artifact that he, in fact, created that is said to be indestructible. In none of the movies, they were able to find ways to shut them down. The humans were able to find ways to shut them down, but it was only ever very temporary. And all the tall man has to do is look at it or send his essence out, and it'll just power it right back on. So it's not a traditional like portal. It's a device that he's created, which is the same device that turned him in to the tall man to begin with.
So it sounds to me like Dell is kind of arguing for the Cenobites and Raz is kind of arguing for the tall man.
Let me
I'm just
explain.
trying to
I want the
understand-
Cenobites to
trying to
win. I'm just trying to
understand
do a
is the
thorough
thing.
job. Yeah,
Yeah,
I actually
just-
want the Cenobites to win. I'm just trying to do a thorough job.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if the tall man was destroyed, if that meant that the thing was over
No,
or not.
no,
So-
because
I
So
wonder.
it's the tall man. So it's not a now. It's become his entire
explain.
army versus the army of Leviathan.
if you actually
taking
find a way
place
to
in
kill the
hell.
tall, if you find an actual way to kill the tall man, then the Jawas would just be free, and they would just escape to back their dimension and do fuck knows what. No one knows what they would do without his control. The spheres would actually cease to function because they're powered through his essence. So those would cease to function. The Jawas would disperse if he was killed. However, if he was just taken over, they would all still exist, and they would still answer to him.
Well, that actually kind of answers my question because I was wondering if the Cenobite succeeded in turning the tall man into a Cenobite himself, would he still have power over the Jawas and the little metal balls? And you say that he would. So
they are all tied
now,
into his
I mean,
essence, essentially.
that's like a whole new problem when you have a Cenobite that has an entire army of undead and killer balls floating through the air.
Billions
See,
upon billions.
It seems to me that if this person wanted to be taking over, he would automatically. I don't think he would so much wage war as call them and say, "I'm worthy to be changed. Make me into a Cenobite. Then I have those additional
pride
powers
wouldn't
of
allow
my
it.
own."
His pride wouldn't allow it because that would make him beholden to something or someone else, and that's the tall man's thing. He's beholden to nothing. That would literally be fundamentally against everything that is him. But you brought up the point: could they change him? They could. They could definitely change him. My question is: do you think enough of them could pull together? The orders could truly all pull together enough to shield a core group of them from all the other chaos going on long enough to convert him. Because listen, he doesn't necessarily have like super strength. He's strong. He's very strong, but he's not like it's not too crazy. Like Cenobites, I believe, are stronger than him. I think could overpower him.
Yeah, I don't know enough about this villain to really
I just
say
don't see
how
the
much.
Cenobites would actually try to kill him. I think, they would try to convert him before they would try to kill him. And that would be basically to their detriment because once he is a Cenobite, he would easily be able to take over all of them.
I do feel like they would go for conversion. I agree with Del on this, and I agree with Ron. I think they would probably go for conversion. And I do think they could shield long enough from the Jawas and the spheres to do that. The Cenobites are capable of very many fucking insane things. You could literally just create a wall of fucking chains in the shape of like a fucking big enough square. They could do that. Because the spheres, they could cut through the chains. But if you just keep layering the chains on, it's going to take them a while. So you get a group of Cenobites that their whole job is to just go around the chain wall and just bat down the fucking spheres and crush them. You can do that. The Jawas,
that's the
obliterate
sequel
'em.
movie after they turned the tall man into a Cenobite, and a whole new version of hell is unleashed.
But what does happen to all the orders? Like if he becomes one and has all the spheres and everything at his disposal, and with his level of pride and just sheer fucking determined will to, he makes Alexander the Great look like a bitch in his his quest for domination.
Hey, Raz.
Yeah.
The answer. Hi, have you met me? My name is Machine.
yeah. Machine was kind of like that.
Like, I mean, honestly, everything that we're describing, yes.
Well, yeah, that's the problem.
Yes.
But with the tall man, I mean, I feel like in this particular instance, Dell would have the best knowledge on how that would turn out. Like, say he's a Cenobite now.
Then he's going to be obsessed with order, because that's something that would be implanted in him through Leviathan. They can have free will outside of what Leviathan's orders are.
Right.
However, once you're a creature of Leviathan, you can basically just be... To give you an idea of how many Cenobites there are, when the one guy in the comic is even challenging, like, he speaks one of a minor Cenobite in the rank, but like part of the way up the order, he is not supposed to be elevated for another like 25,000 years or something like that. And that's how many people, I mean, and that's the level of elevation. Yeah.
Who's got a 25,000 year backlog?
Well, and those are the ones who've been transformed into Cenobites. There is also everything in hell, that all the people that they're torturing and such, that they can just shove in front of them as cannon fodder to keep them busy. And Leviathan is watching up above and can communicate directly with them. So it's like if they're trying a sneak attack, it's like, no, that's not going to happen.
And I think we can all easily agree that Leviathan would kick the fuck out of Tall Man. Like if Leviathan personally was involved, I know everything about the Tall Man. The Tall Man would be done. Just throwing that out there. Like he's way not more powerful than Leviathan in any way.
Yeah, and Leviathan would want him probably, if he came in, either immediately dead or to take him over, so that he could include his army into Leviathan's own.
And the interesting thing is the Tall Man is like I said earlier, he himself is order and very methodical. He just employs chaos as a tool. So he's very well versed in chaos, but as a being himself, he is kind of a being of order. So I'm wondering if that would make the Tall Man just more the Tall Man than he already was.
Yeah.
So who are we finally saying would win this fight?
I think we haven't heard from Jenny.
Jenny? Okay. I have watched the Tall Man movies over and over again, and I am not as versed as Dell as when it comes to the Cenobites and Pinhead, but from what I can see and what I have been trying to puzzle out through all of this, it might be possible for them to shield a group to get to him, but it would be harder than they would believe.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be easy. Definitely. I mean, sheer numbers alone, it won't be easy. But they've got a lot of numbers too.
And the idea of him becoming one and having that behind him on top of what he already has, he would fight to get through the ranks there next.
That's for damn sure.
He would. So I haven't. It is possible for it to happen, but I haven't figured out how they would do it per se. How they would fight through to get there. I can see it happening, but I'm not sure. It would not be a fast win. It would be a long, disastrous battle to get to that point.
The interesting thing is, if he's converted, guess what happens to his minions and the spheres?
They get converted too.
That through his essence, technically, they are of him. So whatever he is, they are of. So they become more powerful. All his minions in the spheres also become therefore more powerful than they were before.
Well,
this is like a weird fucking horror Borg situation.
Yeah, I mean, this just seems like it would be beneficial for the tall man, not so beneficial for the Cenobites.
Yeah. He could
that's
at some
what I'm
point.
saying.
It would still be beneficial for the Cenobites, 100%. But how long is it beneficial before it becomes a problem?
When the tall man
Or
gets
does it
big
become a
enough that he thinks he can take on Leviathan, that's when it becomes a problem.
What do you think about this, Del? Do you think at some point in time he becomes a problem for Leviathan or no?
He's cocky enough
And
to
this
try.
matters. Because we've established that time does not matter. On either side, with the Cenobites or the tall man, time is not a factor for anyone
All
involved.
right, Dimension Films, get in touch with us. We have an idea for a movie series here.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that Leviathan is just as patient, and I think I'm going to call this one a draw, because I mean, this is going to be a multi-thousands of years siege in hell.
Yeah.
I feel like we just stumbled upon another Xenomorph versus Pennywise.
Yes.
You know, because
I think it's a much closer battle than something like Frankenstein versus Leprechaun.
Yeah, or creature versus art. Yeah.
and
This is
motivations are so completely different, because him
they
wanting
are.
to take it over, but all they're going to want is to take over him. He wants to take over all of hell. He's got this army I didn't know about, but I mean, like, if they did get him, he would suddenly be in charge of the Order of the Jawa immediately, I believe.
Oh yeah, there would be more than enough
Training.
under his command between the spheres and the Jawas.
Yeah, he doesn't have to start off with lowly little Vel, like, oh, please let me go out and take one soul. It's like, okay, so you get to conquer this plane next.
Yep.
And
which just feeds into what he wants and what he is.
Yeah.
Because every plane he takes over, he also so he absorbed a lot of the power from humanity, from our realm when he fucking conquered it. That feeds him and makes him stronger. So then every plane he's conquering as a Cenobite is also making him stronger.
And I think some of that.
So Tall Man basically wins by proxy, not by default, but by proxy.
But with Leviathan involved, again, that also makes it very difficult to gauge.
They get tied together, so he would get some bit.
The real battle's not between the Tall Man and Pinhead. The real battle is between Tall Man and Leviathan.
Right.
Yeah.
It just started with Pinhead because that's where
Pinhead is his general.
Yeah.
And
there's a chance that Tall Man might not have even really known everything he needed to know going into this. He would have found out everything he could, but the ability for him to find out specialized knowledge about the Cenobites to that degree is going to be a lot more difficult than finding out information about the box and how to summon them and about the Order of the Gash. I feel like Order of the Gash is going to be a lot easier to find information on for him.
Yeah, there's the Order of the Gash, but there's so many, and it depends. Now we have to figure out which configuration or what he used to get in, because depending on how he opened it, it can cause different things to happen as you open it.
Right. And we talked about the sheer will, the will option, the sheer will and determination option is what we were talking about.
Not to be the wet blanket here, but we're rocking 12-15.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this one's kind of like, I think until further information comes out from either the side of Phantasm or Hellraiser, I think we're in a Xenomorph Pennywise stalemate on this one, where we're going to have to revisit this in a future show.
This is
I'll have to watch Phantasm.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch.
You've read a lot more. Like, you've got me in comic knowledge on Hellraiser, because I've read almost no Hellraiser comics. Books, and movies, I'm good, but
got all the books done. Read the Toll, Scarlet Gospels, which don't even count that. That's not canon.
No, they're still made.
That's still fun.
I don't know. That's a really good one, though. It's a really good matchup.
It's interesting.
Maybe you should do it on Mats and Monsters and have them battle each other out.
Who knows? It's cool though, because like the Pennywise Xenomorph thing is all about like the individuals like control, the ability to kick each other's ass. Whereas this one is like the long game. This is the actual war, the long fucking, well longer than humanity could. Well, I mean, humanity's already destroyed in this situation because literally there are no human beings left on planet Earth.
Which
All
means
right,
that
Dale.
the
So
Cenobites
get
would
on
have
your
inside
comic.
Hold
knowledge.
on. Del's, what'd you say, Del?
Go ahead, Del.
They, with that going on, the Cenobites would definitely have a shit ton of inside knowledge on him as they would go out to people
Yes.
and know what's going on in the world.
They
too.
would. They would
So,
definitely.
as they've been preparing for war against heaven for eons, they could add this in, they might have a chance to strategize as to what happens if he comes here, because
The weird thing is only 3 people in existence, and they survive in some way or another to the end, actually know anything about him at all.
they would just know that there was a threat of some sort that's
Yeah.
destroying
So
the
any
Earth.
specialized knowledge, only 3 people know. There's no fucking way they were getting airbox. They're like truly good examples, and one of them is a ghost. So there's there's that.
Go through that. Okay.
Yeah, but they would know he was
Okay, I
coming,
love
and
this so
they would
much.
seen externally his power and what he's capable of.
Okay.
So
Which would
Del,
still be
get on
more
your
information than he has.
comic connections. Del, get on your comic connections. Talk to somebody about doing a comic series of Hellraiser versus Phantasm, and let's make this into a comic series. And
Well, Dan just finished up with Daredevil Black Armor, so he wrote the Hellraiser Bible as far as the comic books went.
We should try to get him in, right?
Yeah.
Loop him in. And we'll get him involved in an episode, one of our shows, and we'll bring this up and we'll talk about it and see if he's got any additional inside knowledge that we don't have.
Like,
no, I just want somebody to actually make a comic series of this.
I'll reach out to Reggie from Phantasm because he's still kicking around and doing some stuff. But I met him a bunch of times, also at Horror Hound, by the way, in the past. And because unfortunately, Angus Scrim, the tall man, is passed for some time now. It was quite devastating, actually.
Yes,
it was a great, kind, enormously tall human being. He was that tall in real life, if not taller. But Reggie's around. I might be able to, we might be able to talk to Reggie and find out what he thinks. So I'll try and get some emails out about that. You talk to Dan. We'll go from there. Maybe we'll try and get Clive involved, or at least Simon, or somebody. I have interviewed in the past the entire cast of Hellraiser and the majority of the cast of Nightbreed. So maybe I can. I don't know. I can send an email. They might say no. They'll probably say no, but I can send.
I
an
haven't
email.
talked to Dan for a while because I just dropped off there. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll send out emails, people, and try to get some more information on these things.
All right, Allight making moves. Let's make this happen.
Hey, we've made a lot of moves in the last, since we started. How many months has it been now? Is it 8 months now we're at?
9.
Not holy shit, 9 months.
It's officially been 9 months since the beginning of us doing our own episodes.
Wow. So the network has been around for 9 months, and already we've done absolutely insane shit. And now we're actually already going to cons in under a year. Oh, well, hell, that started when you went. So that was well under a year. That was months ago when you went. So like, we're already we're out there in the world going to cons. We're about to make a movie and do a world record box fort. I think we're doing a pretty good job for ourselves at this point.
Having fun. Got a book coming out soon.
Walls.
Yeah, and all the cool people we're hanging out with and meeting all the time. Like, man, this is fucking awesome. And Horror Hound, man, I'm again to wrap this back around so we can start wrapping down the show and winding down and cutting it for the night. Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about. Like, so we literally the first little bit more than a third of this show is nothing about all the details of this con. Come out there, when you see me, tell me what you think. Tell me who you think would win, specifically between Pennywise and Xenomorph and the tall man and Pinhead and that whole war situation. So if you've seen the episode, come talk to me about it, and we'll do an interview. I will literally interview you at the con with your opinion, and we'll bring that into a future episode. That just sounds fun. Why not?
Sounds good.
Like people's little videos of what people's arguments are for and against. And stuff.
I like the
That'd be
idea.
fun.
Yeah, definitely, guys.
We'll play
And
their
we'll see what we
video
can do.
We'll play the video during the podcast.
Maybe we'll do some kind of giveaway prior to Horror Hound with something Horror Hound related. We'll see. No promises there, but we'll look into seeing what we can do there. That'd be fun. But all right, guys.
All right.
By the
That's
way,
about it.
I gotta throw out real quick. Tuesday, we are doing on Splash Pages a live read of the Batman Elmer Fudd special.
I'm excited about that, dude.
So,
I can't
guys,
wait.
it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. It is going to be so much fun. We're still going to do a little bit of news and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we've got a noir Batman versus in the Looney Tunes world and the Batman world synced up together, noir murder mystery thing going on where Elmer Fudd and Bruce Wayne are brought against each other. It's glorious. We did a practice because we want to make sure everybody had not just the Looney Tunes voice, but the Looney Tunes noir voices going on.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. So
I just realized we have a crazy fucking week all around because tomorrow we've got Legends by Night, which is our vampire episode part 2, because there was so much talk about vampires, we had to do a part 2. On that episode, you're going to see what happened with me and Pyle when we were hunting the Frogman. You're going to get a secret revealed about our newest show, which starts this Friday. But you got to tune in tomorrow to find out all about it, which ties into a huge our next giant giveaway. Tuesday, you got the Splash Pages at 8 p.m. Then Wednesday, you've got the new time and date for, well, not new time, it's still at 9 o'clock, but the new day of the week for Unprinted Pages.
Where we interview Patty for her happy birthday special, because our great publisher doesn't get as much love as she needs, and I want to celebrate her and her. She's put out like 9 different poetry volumes in the past few months. She's a poetry queen.
She is.
So we're going to tell her happy birthday. We're going to celebrate some of her accomplishments, and Raz and I are just going to try to show her as much love as possible.
Maybe we'll research some poetry and honor her, it's going to be a big deal, guys. This is her birthday. We love her. She's helped us out so much. She's a big part of our network. To that end, we actually have an anthology coming out in the near future for charity that she's actually hosting and doing all the publishing work for us on, the Owlite Menagerie. We're working with the name right now. But we're going to be talking about that a lot very soon, because I think the rest of our stories are due this month. So we're going to be in hardcore for that. And then Thursday.
Is that what I did the thing for?
Yes, it is. And then Thursday is the return of Allied Adventures, the next edition of some D&D going on. And then Friday is the new secret show that you have to tune in tomorrow to find out about. So that's literally every fucking day this week. You got something to do. A reason to tune in. Between the Dorkening and the Owlite.
We got you covered, man.
Yeah, we always got you covered. Every day, I think now effectively, between Dorkening and us, we've got everything covered except for Saturday. And I'm sure they got stuff going on Saturday. Saturday is, I think, Tuesdays and Saturdays is our only day off on this network.
And they get Ninja Turtles on Saturday.
Yeah, and you're on Tuesdays. Well, you're not on all the normal shows always either through the week. So.
Yeah, no, I get some time off.
Yeah, I'm only off on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and every other Friday right now. Until we have another Friday show, which I think we're going to have to in the future just to balance it. So,
alrighty.
Balls. All right, guys. Well, thank you for going absolutely fucking insane with all of us and hanging out for our Horror Hound special episode of Padded Cell. So I guess get the fuck out and stay crazy.
Have a good
night, all. Bye.
Burritos, no cheese.